Good morning to everyone present here. On behalf of Lal Bahadur Shastri Institute of Management, Delhi, I, Arushi Sahani,
And I, Astik Pasricha,
from PGDM first year, are delighted to welcome you all to this year's National Artificial Intelligence and Data Science Conference 2026. LBSIM was established in 1995 to honor the legacy of Bharat Ratna, late Sri Lal Bahadur Shastri Ji, the second Prime Minister of India.
the Institute's legacy of nurturing industry ready professionals continues to guide our endeavors and shape the learning environment we proudly uphold. It is therefore our privilege to host this esteemed gathering of industry pioneers, visionary professionals, and academic scholars united in their commitment to share insights and explore the rapidly evolving world of artificial intelligence and data science.
We are living in an era where data has become the new strategic asset, and artificial intelligence is redefining how insights are generated, decisions are made, and value is created. From predictive analytics and machine learning models to natural language processing and computer vision, AI and data science are reshaping every dimension of modern business and governance.
AI and data driven technologies are rapidly becoming foundational to India's economic growth, governance, and social transformation. As India accelerates towards a digitally empowered economy, it is critical that technological progress remains inclusive, responsible, and human centric. This year's conference theme, Artificial Intelligence and Business Transformation, Shaping India's Digital Future, captures this profound impact of AI and data science in redefining how businesses and institutions and the nation at large operate and evolve.
Through this conference, we aim to explore how AI led insights and data driven strategies are transforming business models, enabling innovation, strengthening competitiveness, and contributing to India's vision of a digitally resilient and globally relevant economy. The deliberations throughout the conference will provide valuable perspectives on how organizations can harness data and intelligence responsibly while building trust, transparency, and long term impact.
Moving forward, now I would like to request everyone to please rise for the LBSIM anthem.
लाल बहादुर के सपनों का अनुपम अनुसंधान शोध और शिक्षा से करते सकल विश्व निर्माण सत्य सरल सुंदर जीवन का शिक्षा ही आधार LBSIM करती है सतत इसे साकार जीवन और प्रबंधन काले करके अक्षय ज्ञान छात्र यहाँ की विद्य बढ़ाते मातृभूमि का मान शास्त्री जी के ही सारे आदर्श हमारे प्राण LBSIM का प्रण है भारत बने महान जय जवान जय किसान जय जवान जय किसान जयती जयती जय 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 LBSIM महान
Thank you. Please be seated. At LBSIM, we proudly carry forward the legacy of late Sri Lal Bahadur Shastri Ji, the second Prime Minister of India. His values of integrity, humility, and service to the nation continue to inspire us in our academic and professional endeavors.
It is an honor to present a short film on the life and leadership of late Sri Lal Bahadur Shastri Ji, a leader celebrated for his modesty, ethical conduct, and steadfast service to the country. His legacy continues to inform our vision and purpose and shape our institutions as we navigate the challenges of the modern world.
27 मई 1964 पंडित जवाहरलाल नेहरू का निधन हो गया। देश गहरे विषाद में डूब गया। सभी के मन में एक ही सवाल था, कौन बनेंगे नए प्रधानमंत्री, कौन करेंगे इस महान सभ्यता का नेतृत्व।
आफ्टर नेहरू हु, नेहरू के बाद कौन होगा, तो ये उनको इस बात का एहसास था। जब मुझसे पूछा गया कि इस कमी को दूर कैसे करेंगे, तो उन्होंने कहा कि पंडित जी ने अपने व्यक्तित्व की वजह से, टावरिंग पर्सनैलिटी की वजह से, उन्होंने इस पद को शक्ति प्रदान की, और मैं प्रयास करूंगा इस पद से शक्ति प्राप्त करने की, जिससे कि मैं देश की सेवा कर सकूं।
2 अक्टूबर 1904 के दिन काशी के पास मुगल सराय में जन्मे लाल बहादुर का पूरा व्यक्तित्व ही गांधीवाद का जीता जागता स्वरूप था।
उनकी सादगी, पहली बात तो धोती पहनते थे, ये आम आदमी को उससे बड़ा भरोसा हो जाता था कि हमारे जैसे है।
पिता की छत्र छाया बचपन में ही छिन गई थी। विधवा मां के साथ ननिहाल चले गए, वहीं पर परवरिश हुई। 1921 में जब स्वतंत्रता आंदोलन में कूद पड़े तो निष्ठा और दृढ़ता के प्रमाण मिलते चले गए। 17 वर्ष की आयु से स्वाधीनता तक लगभग 9 साल जेल में काटे। रहीमन हीरा कब कहे लाख टका मेरो मोल। पार्टी कार्य में उनकी निष्ठा से प्रभावित होकर नेहरू ने लाल बहादुर शास्त्री को रेल मंत्री नियुक्त किया, परंतु 1953 में घटी एक रेल दुर्घटना की नैतिक जिम्मेदारी लेते हुए शास्त्री जी ने मंत्रालय से इस्तीफा दे दिया।
उन्होंने वो इस्तीफा देकर राजनीति में नए मूल्यों की स्थापना की।
नेहरू जी के मंत्रिमंडल में कई विशिष्ट पदों पर अपनी छाप छोड़ते हुए वे गृह मंत्री नियुक्त हुए। 9 जून 1964 पंडित नेहरू के निधन के बाद स्वयं पंडित नेहरू के चहेते लाल बहादुर शास्त्री ने भारत के दूसरे प्रधानमंत्री का पदभार संभाला। कुल 4 शब्दों में उस मृदुभाषी व्यक्ति ने देश को एक नारा दिया, जय जवान जय किसान।
उन्होंने उस समय इस बात का एहसास कर लिया था, देश के अंदर हमें अपने जो भंडार है अनाज के उन्हें पूरा भर देना है, और एक जो भारत के गौरव और गरिमा को देश विश्व में खड़ा कर देना है, वो अगर संभव है तो जवानों और किसानों की जय जयकार करने से ही है।
Lal Bahadur Shastri, Prime Minister of India, speaking on Independence Day in 1965.
हम हथियारों का जवाब हथियारों से दें।
5 सितंबर 1965 पाकिस्तान ने भारत के खिलाफ खुली जंग का ऐलान कर दिया। जवाब में भारतीय सेना पंजाब से सीमा पार कर गई। जब तक संयुक्त राष्ट्र की पहल पर युद्ध विराम हुआ, तब तक भारत की सेनाएं पाकिस्तानी सेना पर हावी हो चुकी थी।
वो किसी के दबाव में आने वाले व्यक्ति नहीं थे। जब ऐसी घटना होती है तो बहुत ज्यादा अंतर्राष्ट्रीय दबाव होते हैं। अगर आप दब गए तो झुक जाएंगे, वो नहीं दबे। लेकिन फिर शायद दोनों देशों की भलाई सोचकर वो युद्ध विराम पर राजी हो गए।
10 जनवरी 1966 ताशकंद। जिन आदर्शों के नैतिक बल का मजा वो पाकिस्तान को चखा चुके थे, आज उन्हीं आदर्शों की उदारता से उन्होंने समझौते के कागजात पर दस्तखत कर दिए। लेकिन अभी समझौते के दस्तावेज पर स्याही सूखी भी न थी कि उसी रात शास्त्री जी को दिल का दौरा पड़ा और उनकी मृत्यु हो गई। गांधी जी ने कहा था कि शत्रु का दिल जीतना ही वास्तविक जीत है। सुदूर ताशकंद में जब स्वर्गीय लाल बहादुर शास्त्री को कोसिजिन के साथ साथ खुद जनरल अयूब खान ने कंधा दिया, तो लगा जैसे शास्त्री जी बापू के फलसफे को चरितार्थ कर दुनिया से रुखसत हो गए थे। लाल बहादुर शास्त्री केवल 18 महीनों तक भारत के प्रधानमंत्री रहे, लेकिन अपने प्रधानमंत्रित्व के छोटे से कार्यकाल में शास्त्री जी ने भारत के हर नागरिक के कानों में आत्मसम्मान और आत्मबल का मंत्र फूंक दिया था। अपने व्यक्तित्व से उन्होंने निष्काम कर्म और पुरुषार्थ की वो मिसाल कायम की कि उनकी गिनती भारतीय इतिहास के सर्वोच्च महापुरुषों में होती है।
This conference brings together diverse perspectives to understand how AI and data science can be applied to solve complex problems, unlock new opportunities, and drive responsible business transformation.
Following the proud tradition of LBSIM, we would now like to invite our esteemed guests to join us in lighting the ceremonial lamp and paying homage to late Sri Lal Bahadur Shastri ji.
I request Mr. Amit Gupta, Mr. Adarsh Shastri, Dr. Upmit Singh, Professor Praveen Gupta, Colonel Ajay Sood, Dr. Kavita Pabreja, Dr. Rajkumari Mittal, and Ms. Anandita Srivastav to kindly come to the stage. May I now request all the dignitaries to please take their seats on stage.
We now request Dr. Rekha Gupta to welcome the chief guest, Dr. Upmit Singh, with a planter as a token of our gratitude. Thank you, ma'am.
We now request Dr. Sushil Dikshit to welcome the guest of honor, Mr. Adarsh Shastri, with a planter as a token of our gratitude. Thank you, sir.
We now request Dr. Gitanjali Sahi to kindly welcome our guest of honor, Mr. Amit Gupta, with a planter as a token of our gratitude. Thank you, ma'am.
Proceeding further, we are honored to invite Professor Praveen Gupta, Director LBSIM, to deliver the welcome address. Please, sir.
Good morning, everyone. Little louder. Good morning. Chief guest for today's conference, Dr. Upmit Singh, Chief Operating Officer, SSC NASSCOM. Guest of honor, Mr. Adarsh Shastri, Member Board of Governors, LBSIM, a technocrat turned public servant and also an entrepreneur. Guest of honor, Mr. Amit Gupta, Global AI Consulting Group Practice, Head MasterCard Advisors. My faculty colleagues on dais, Dr. Kavita and Dr. Rajkumari Mittal. Faculty colleagues from Artificial Intelligence, Data Science, Operations, Business Analytics area. Other faculty members, Chief Administrative Officer, Colonel Ajay Sood. My colleagues from administration and dear students. It's an auspicious day today. Yesterday we observed Basant Panchami, and maybe 2 days after we will celebrate the 77th Republic Day of India. So I welcome the guests present today and also the panel members of the first panel discussions after this inaugural session. At the outset, I would like to thank the guests present on the dais for taking time off their schedule and readily agreeing to contribute their thought process with our students. Let me also share with the guests present here that this institute has 5 PGDM programs, PGDM General, the flagship program, PGDM Financial Management, PGDM Data Science, Artificial Intelligence and Data Science, PGDM Research and Business Analytics, and PGDM E-Business. And apart from that, we also have the FPM program. So I think this is amply clear. The data science is the key driver for today's business and economy. And the institute has done sufficiently well in terms of preparing itself first and then preparing the budding managers to contribute to economy, India and globally. I'm also happy and congratulating the organizing team for today's Artificial Intelligence and Data Science Conference. And the title is very apt, Artificial Intelligence and Business Transformation, Shaping India's Digital Future. Let me share a quote, very popular, from French author Victor Hugo. No power on earth can stop an idea whose time has come. So I feel the time of technology is there for over 3-4 decades, but time for AI has come. And nobody can stop it. It is going to remain with us. So this phrase highlights the revolutionary timely ideas cannot be halted by force, money, or authority. We say change is the only constant, and today we are facing VUCA and Bani world. So one thing assured is the change. But change is a very, you can say, a small scale word in today's world. What we are going to witness and we are already witness is disruption. So again, I will say one thing is sure, AI has arrived and it is going to stay. Not only it is going to stay, it will be the biggest disruptor. Last 1 year, there is another trend which is very amply clear to everyone, especially the students of MBA should notice, that there is amalgamation of artificial intelligence and digital transformation. For last 1 decade, we were talking in terms of digital transformation. How can we convert whatever is physical, the data, how can we digitize it? But things will not remain limited to that. The new generation transformation that we are going to witness and we are already witness for over 2 years is beyond digitization. From paper to digital, that is a shift. But what we are going to witness is a major disruptor. We have to think beyond the silos. We have to think beyond. AI is already, showing its reflection in terms of healthcare, finance, retail, manufacturing, business development, supply chain, inventory management, new product development, and customer service. In fact, I was reading about a young entrepreneur, a lady, who said earlier to prepare any kind of advertisement, we have to call the agency, we have to call the person who will be part of the communication and all. Now everything can be done. The thing which was done in 3 to 4 months can be done in 2 days. What is the impact? Impact, one is the hassles and the effort. Second impact is the money. You save a lot of money. And that entrepreneur was mentioning that in last 6 months, we are saving a lot of money in terms of our communication. So money saved is nothing but profit generated. And money saved also means you are having an edge over your competitors. Plus the time. This is the time where super speed, you have to react to any kind of new triggers which are coming into your business. So AI is going to help you. If I say Amazon, you can say which bring the digital first in commerce. If I say Netflix, you can say digital first company in terms of entertainment. Uber, you can say transportation. Airbnb, you can say in terms of hospitality. Paytm and UPI, you can say they have revolutionized the digital transactions. But some more changes are going to come. I feel the day-long deliberations will be bringing the best from the say market leaders in this area, and probably they will agree to my comment on here. The era of digital transformation is over. An entirely new era is dawning on us, that is intelligence revolution. So from digital revolution, it will be intelligence revolution. And this will be exponential, much, much faster than from our expectation. We have some time for pause and rethink. Here will not be, on this keyboard, there will be hardly any pause button. So in the era of AI, we will shift from digital to AI first businesses, empowering reality, augmenting intelligence, and something changing in the core of the business. It will also introduce the new opportunities, new ways to learn, optimize, augment our work, capability, and potential. And it will have the impact on us year on year in terms of compound. It is just a matter of 2 to 3 years. This is my feel. I'll just quote what Sam Altman, the OpenAI CEO, has said. This is the most interesting year in the human history. He's talking about 2005. And it is something path-breaking for futures to come. The next decade will be most productive in human history. What an incredible year and time we are witnessing, and things to come in future. Goodbye digital transformation. Hello AI first business transformation. Thank you so much. Thank you all the students for patient hearing, and I assume the full day conference will bring a lot of thought process to you in today as well as in future. Happy learning. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir, for your meaningful and inspiring words. Your insightful remarks have created an uplifting tone for the distinguished gathering. Now, I would like to invite Dr. Kavita Pabreja, convener of the conference, to apprise us of the theme of this year's conference.
Honorable Chief Guest, Dr. Upmeet Singh, distinguished guest of honor, Mr. Amit Gupta and Mr. Adarsh Shastri, respected Dr. Praveen Gupta, Director LBSIM, Colonel Ajay Sood, CEO and Registrar LBSIM, esteemed faculty members, dear students, ladies and gentlemen, a very warm welcome to you all. It is my privilege to present a brief overview of the National AI and Data Science Conference 2026 hosted by Lal Bahadur Shastri Institute of Management on the theme AI and Business Transformation Shaping India's Digital Future. This conference is envisioned as a platform that brings together industry leaders, policymakers, academicians, researchers, and practitioners to explore how artificial intelligence is shaping business, governance, innovation, and society. As India advances towards becoming a global digital powerhouse, AI is emerging as a critical driver of economic growth, operational efficiency, sustainability, and competitive advantage. Our objective through this conference is to bridge the gap between AI research and real-world business applications and to promote responsible, ethical, and scalable AI adoption. The discussions today focus on AI in supply chain and operations, business transformations through AI, automation platforms and AI agents, responsible and ethical use of generative AI, prompt engineering for business decision making, and so on. A special emphasis has been placed on practical demonstrations, real-world case studies, and hands-on workshops, enabling participants to gain actionable insights rather than only the theoretical understanding. The structure of the conference is as follows. The day begins with the inaugural session, as we are already witnessing, where we are having, this is followed by a panel discussion on AI in supply chain and operations, from predictive planning to autonomous execution, where eminent leaders from Capgemini, Samsung Electronics, Ericsson, and Alvarez and Marcel, they will share their thoughts. In the afternoon, we have a series of 7 hands-on workshops led by distinguished experts from Infosys, Gartner, Squatsec AI, and so on. These workshops are going to cover topics ranging from AI in operations and marketing to automation agents, rapid prototyping, responsible AI, and prompt engineering. This conference is not just an academic gathering. It is a step towards shaping India's AI-ready workforce and business ecosystem. It aims to equip the students and professionals with industry-relevant AI skills, foster collaboration between academia and industry, promote innovation-driven and sustainable digital transformation, encourage ethical, inclusive, and responsible AI adoption. Through this initiative, LBSIM continues its mission of developing future-ready leaders who can drive technology-led transformation in India and beyond. I hope today's deliberations will inspire new ideas, partnerships, and solutions that contribute meaningfully to India's digital and AI-driven future. Thank you, and I wish everyone a highly engaging and enriching conference experience. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. With this compelling introduction, we are eagerly looking forward to the insightful discussions ahead. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a privilege to welcome the guest of honor of the National AI and DS Conference 2026, Mr. Amit Gupta, a seasoned leader with 20 plus years of progressive experience in strategy consulting, sales, and AI for business. Sir currently serves as the Global AI Consulting Group Practice Head at MasterCard Advisors. Mr. Gupta has expertise of setting up, building, and growing new business teams across financial services and payments vertical. Sir has done BTech in Electronics and Communication from Guru Gobind Singh Indraprasth University and is an alumnus of IIM Lucknow. He is leading the growth of MasterCard as an AI powerhouse and working as Global Services Practice Lead for AI consulting and incubation, driving joint vision, GTM strategy, product bundling, cross-selling, and capability development. Prior to this, he was also a founding member of Merchant Consulting at American Express, helping establish data-driven business insights and consulting capabilities. Mr. Amit Gupta is a true innovator and an entrepreneur having passion for innovation with 40 global patent grants in payments products leveraging AI, blockchain, cutting-edge technology, and driving revenue with the same. Throughout his journey, he has consistently been at the forefront of using AI to transform businesses, optimize decision-making, and unlock new value. We are honored to have him with us today. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Mr. Amit Gupta.
Thank you very much. A very warm welcome to all of you. I hope all of you are awake and it's a bright sunny day outside. So my humble request to all of you would be just experience this session, enjoy and take whatever you can because this is very, very important for all of us. It's a privilege and honor for me to be standing in front of you. Rather, I would want to welcome all the esteemed guests on the dais as well as faculty members and the students who've come for this session. As you know, today we are talking about a transformative journey where there's fusion between data and dollars and confluence across technology, finance, and strategy, which is driving the new world. And this era, I felt that what is that I should share in front of you, which you can take away as a learning. So I'll talk about three things today. One, I'll introduce the concept of agentic AI and agentic commerce, which some of you would have heard, but it is important to understand what exactly is that. Second, I'll talk about what changes, transformation this agentic commerce is driving across every stakeholder, including you as customer or consumer. And third, as a student, what you should do to ensure that you are ready for this world. So let me start by asking a question. And I know we've only been talking, but it is important that you stay engaged. How many of you use ChatGPT or Perplexity? All of you. And how many of you use Google? All of you to search. So now the question is, how many searches do you think happens on Google every day? Any of you? In a day, how many searches do you think happens on Google? Any rough estimates? Okay, someone said 15 billion. So, correct answer, 15 billion searches happens on Google every day. How many prompts do you think people input on ChatGPT, Perplexity, etc. every day? There's a reason I'm asking this question, and you'll be able to relate. Any idea? Around 3 billion, which is growing at 100% year over year, while the searches on Google is reducing. Now imagine a world where you are going to ChatGPT, which is giving you answers without giving you links where you click and decipher the information. So we are in an era where all of you would want the details without a click. And this is an era which is transforming not just our lives with information, but will transform commerce as we move forward. And I just want to talk about this era. Over the last 10 years, there's been a transformation which has happened in AI itself. So while we did talk about digital transformation, but this is about AI transformation over the last 10 years. So from traditional AI to generative AI, now to agentic AI. I'll just take some time to explain these concepts because this is what's happening across the globe. When we talked about the world of traditional AI, what was happening is the prediction power went up and you could predict in the best possible manner. We talk about driverless cars. You look at Google Maps. All these tools were solving big problems because it could predict very, very well. Predict based on past data. So as you look at Google Maps, you're able to move to a destination where it takes data in real time and predict the shortest distance or shortest time you want to move towards the end entity. 3 years back, ChatGPT came up and we moved very quickly from the era of prediction to generation of content. And that's why we call it generative AI, because you were able to generate content based on LLMs, large language models. Now, when the data or information was generated, you moved from prediction to the next level because now you could get everything based on information that you wanted, what you wanted to search without you clicking. The third era, where I'm talking about agentic AI, is an era which is even beyond. So from prediction to generation, now it's the world of action, where agentic AI will be able to act on your behalf. And a sentence that we say is, which truly describes this transformation, is that commerce today is no longer about clicks. It is about conversations that close itself. And if you look at this sentence, it's talking about conversations, which is how humans interact, and also being proactive and autonomous because it is closing itself just based on your instructions without how you take decisions by manually clicking. Let me also correlate how things were happening till now and how things will happen in future. If you look at your journey of purchase or commerce. And why I'm correlating, because this is a world that is very close to me at MasterCard. It is important because this is how transformation is happening. So there are 5 stages of how any commerce or purchase happens today. We start with discovery. The first stage, discovery, is when you get an ad of a product, let's say on your email or on TV, newspaper, etc. That is how a product is discovered by you. The second stage is consideration, which is when you read about the product, about their reviews, about the value proposition of the product. You can Google it, you can go to Facebook, you can go anywhere, and then you consider whether I should purchase this product or not. Every time you're going to various links and getting information. The third area is checkout. So when you're convinced that this is the product I would want to take, then you go to Amazon, Flipkart, etc. Search that product, put it on your checkout page, and then you move to purchase. So you select the payment method. It can be UPI, credit cards, cash on delivery. And then for post-purchase, this is the 5th step. You try and figure out how has been my experience, how many days will it take for me to get the product, whether I'll get reward points or not if I've made purchase through credit card or anything else. So these 5 stages primarily defines how commerce was happening till now. In the event of AI, some of these efficiencies, transformation was also happening. However, today in the world of agentic AI, all this will be managed through agents without a click. And that's why we are having a transformation, as sir mentioned, from brick and mortar to e-commerce, and e-commerce now to a-commerce or agentic commerce. I'm not sure how many of you have already tried, but using ChatGPT or Perplexity, as you ask questions, you will also be able to do purchase directly without even a single click. Has any of you tried purchasing a grocery or a flight ticket from ChatGPT? But do you know this is already happening in the world? Across US, Europe, even Asia Pacific, a lot of people are using ChatGPT Perplexity to purchase, where all the 5 steps that I talked about, discoverability, consideration, checkout, purchase, and post-purchase, is taken care of by a single platform in an automated manner. It does everything for you end to end. And imagine how the world will look like if this is how the commerce is going to transform. I leave at this thought because that's the first point I wanted to introduce to you. The second point is when this kind of a commerce is happening, the world is getting disrupted and each of the stakeholders in the ecosystem now needs to focus, invest, and work towards making this happen. So what was happening today, if you realize that merchants were reaching out to you because they wanted to attract you. So they were having some emotional campaigns with celebrities, Shah Rukh Khan, etc. They were sending you campaigns on your email. There were ads across every ecosystem. But what will happen tomorrow is you're not the end person who's getting influenced by the merchants because the agents are taking decisions on your behalf. So how do you ensure that these merchants are now discoverable to an agent? Because now the merchants will be interacting with the agent. So it changes the entire world because today, as you were doing a lot of search engine optimization, tomorrow it will not exist because now you'll have to focus on AEO or agentic experience optimization or generative engine optimization. So the rules changes, and so there has to be a platform or a company or an entity which can make a merchant more discoverable. So it does not mean now whether you're big or small, anyone who knows how to be visible in front of an agent will be able to get inroads. Similarly, a lot of other factors. A lot of banks needs to ensure now how will I make myself relevant to a customer because the agent may use any kind of payment instrument which is most optimized and efficient for a customer. So loyalty for a bank, loyalty for a card, loyalty for a channel may no longer exist because the agents will decide what is optimized. I'm sure you would have used or heard the term stable coins. Not just crypto, but stable coins, which is available in US. Crypto is also becoming popular. So going forward, some of these instruments will also become global agents where you can purchase with them anywhere across the world. And not just you choosing them, the agents will automatically decide what's best for you. So in all this world, there's so much new will happen. The new transformations will happen. The new ecosystem will have to be developed, which doesn't exist, which means all this information is new, and people like you will make it happen. And that brings me to my third question of what you need to learn, you need to take away so that you can not just drive this ecosystem as consumers, but drive this ecosystem as a professional, as you join the world in 1 year, join your corporate career in 1 year, because as you'll enter, all this will already be live. The companies will be working on this, will be looking at you of how you can help solve these problems. And what is required is, again, fundamentals of what you learn over the next 2 years at LBSIM, where you'll be able to help the world, the corporates, the companies to solve this. So while AI learning is important, equally important is to understand the broader ecosystem, understand the fundamentals of marketing, finance, strategy, ensure that you are able to link technical aspects of AI with business aspects of how AI can solve businesses. And I hope this conference just helps you start with this, a small step in a journey of 1,000 steps. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for sharing your valuable insights and experience with us, sharing how AI transformation has gone from traditional to generative to agentic AI. Your thoughts have added immense value to the session.
It is our pleasure to welcome Mr. Adarsh Shastri, a seasoned industry leader, public policy professional, and social contributor with over 28 years of experience spanning fundraising, business transformation, strategy, and sales across electronics, telecom, IT, retail, and renewable energy sectors in India and globally. He played a pivotal role in shaping India's consumer technology landscape, leading Apple's India launch strategy and building the business to over 35% market share and $1 billion turnover within 2 years. Prior to Apple, he was instrumental in Samsung's turnaround and rapid expansion, helping it become India's largest multinational with revenues exceeding $5 billion. His earlier leadership roles include tenures at Safran and Vodafone. Sir is one of the founders of the India Cellular and Electronics Association, which has been central to transforming India into a global mobile manufacturing and export hub. Mr. Adarsh Shastri serves on multiple policy think tanks and government committees, including FICCI, CII, and ASSOCHAM, and advises startups, entrepreneurs, investors, and Deloitte India on public policy and government engagement. Sir is associated with several trusts and institutions inspired by Lal Bahadur Shastri ji, supporting schools, polytechnics, and management institutes that educate over 15,000 students, largely in rural India. A former member of the Delhi Legislative Assembly, he has held key political and organizational roles, driven governance reforms, and executed large-scale civic and social infrastructure projects. An alumnus of Harvard's International Visitor Leadership Program and Lal Bahadur Shastri Institute of Management, Sir brings together corporate leadership, public policy insight, and a strong commitment to inclusive nation building. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Mr. Adarsh Shastri.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, friends. It's an honor and privilege to be here at the Lal Bahadur Shastri Institute of Management today on the occasion of this artificial intelligence and data conference. Very interesting theme for today's conference, AI and business transformation and how it's shaping India's digital future. Thank you for having me. At the outset, thank Dr. Praveen Gupta, Director, for having me here. Also, Dr. Kavita Pabreja, Rajkumari Mittalji, and of course our chief guest, Dr. Upmit Singh, and Amit Gupta ji for a wonderful and very incisive talk just now before me. Artificial intelligence and data science are not just buzzwords, in today's economic landscape, business, governance, politics. I think they are a generational shift. They represent a paradigm shift in how the world works. Those who can understand and be up to speed with this generational shift, I think can survive in the coming years, and those who do not understand and those who do not adapt to this change will be left behind. AI and data science and the mechanics behind it is of course something which is very relevant for all of you to understand. It is going to be a key part to your career, to your corporate life, to your entrepreneurship journeys. And those of you who will be able to master that, I think will obviously adorn leadership roles in the future. I can only give you a few examples from a time when I have been working either in the corporate sector, in the social sector, in public life. And of course, AI was not as of then not so much in use and what was not so developed. But I think the key for artificial intelligence comes from data science and data analytics. And that has always historically existed in various forms. Whoever is able to master data, whoever is able to channelize data, whoever is able to own data, whoever is able to communicate the data will always enjoy and have an edge over others who do not understand, analyze, or able to interpret data. So I think at the essence, for me, artificial intelligence brings about an intersectionality of data and the way we use it, how organizations use it, how individuals use it, and so on and so forth. From what Amit was just saying, I was remembering, I was sitting with a friend who's the founder of carwale.com. I don't know how many of you have heard of Carwale, but yeah, it's a site which suggests, it's a buy and sell, not just buy and sell cars, but also recommends and so on and so forth. So, I know him for quite some time, and they were doing very well, and like all startups, valued highly, and the future looked very bright. And he was talking to me about how valuations are going up, astronomically, and how brilliantly the company is doing. This about 4 years back. I incidentally bumped into him about a couple of months back, and I asked him the same question again, and he said, well, the future is still bright, but we are facing challenges in terms of how AI is disrupting our business model. So I asked him that what seems to be the challenge, and he told me, there is a massive drop in visitors to our website, to our platform. So I was just trying to understand, and driving from what Amit was saying, of course, he was able to brilliantly explain it technically. But what I did understand, and what I was trying to talk to him about was, and what he understood also, I think, was that people don't even reach that point where they have to go to a Carwale. So if 3 years back or 4 years back, I wanted to look at car options for, let's say, a 10 lakh rupee SUV, I would typically go on to Google, I would type, suggest me a car for rupees 10 lakhs, SUV for rupees 10 lakhs. And typically Google would throw search options at me on my screen, which would include a plethora of car website, brand websites like Hyundais of the world and Marutis of the world and so on. And also at the same time, throw me options of these commerce platforms like Carwale or Car Dekho and so on, giving me an option to go to the second round and look at either individual brand websites, manufacturers, or go to a commerce platform like Carwale or someone to further either increase my knowledge, my understanding, or to go to the process of selection. The ground has shifted. Today, most of you, I guess, and even for some of us, we wouldn't do that. We would just use generative AI, or we would just use AI in general to come up with by asking a simple prompt like which is the best car, which is the best SUV to buy for 10 lakhs. And the generative answer that I would get would probably end my further journey towards a decision making. That is the challenge that most of the businesses today face. whether it is the Samsungs of the world, whether it is, Coca-Cola, whether it is in the manufacturing space, whether it is in the e-commerce space. How do you ensure consumers are able to complete a transaction? How do you ensure consumers are able to make an informed choice while ensuring that their journey takes place through, whether it's my platform or whether it's through multiple product lines and so on and so forth. So how does a Maruti cope up with generative AI when a prospective customer, instead of going to the Maruti website, instead of going to a Carvale or Car Dekho or whatever, simply looks at a generative AI answer which says that buy a 10 lakh rupee Hyundai Venue. That customer is already lost for Maruti. How does another brand, how does another manufacturer, how does Taj Hotels, for example, cope with a tourist living in London who wants to come to India and asks for which hotel should I stay in Delhi, and generative AI simply tells him to stay at the Oberoi. So I think the challenge for companies, for businesses, is to how to be able to reach that customer. That is where I believe the challenge exists. When you all join companies, when you all start your own businesses, those are the challenges you face. Taj never experienced this before in their life. That somebody would not even visit, who doesn't know about Taj, would not even visit the Taj website, would not talk to people, would just simply eliminate Taj because there was no option called Taj which existed for a foreigner sitting in England. Or similarly for a person who just had a Hyundai Venue car as an option and never went through the other options which could have been thrown up to him in the past. How would Maruti deal with that? And so on and so forth. So these are some of the challenges which I realize, while talking and meeting a lot of people, and this across industry, these challenges exist. In the social entrepreneurship space, these challenges exist as large. Who is the right audience? How do we get to the right audience? What is the high impact work which can happen? How do you deliver these messages to the doorstep of the consumer? In government, in public policy, similar challenges exist. The ethos of democracy is greatest good for the greatest number. But how do you reach that greatest number and wanting to do the greatest good? What is the most effective way to reach them? And how can data and artificial intelligence help? Governments all over the world are grappling with these challenges. The census which is going to get conducted in this year and next year, 26, 27, a lot of our public policy work is going to be based on data and artificial intelligence, which will be created on the basis of the census. We are unable as a government, we are unable as public policy think tanks, unable to assess and make the right decisions because we don't have those tools as yet to be able to look at the data and look at the analytics around it and build the artificial intelligence for key points to succeed on those. Those are the challenges that we all face. But again, like I say, I believe that this is something which is here to stay. What the future will hold for all of us is something which I think no one among us can judge. But I believe that AI and those who are able to master this will certainly lead to transformation, not just in their businesses, but across the country. Many organizations, TCS, I was speaking to somebody, there's interesting use of data. TCS, I don't know how many of you know, runs the entire passport service in India. So, the passport, if you apply for a passport or a renewal of a passport, the agent that you go, the service center you go to is run by TCS. Now TCS is using AI to better streamline the process, not just of the passport renewal and passport application, but also in terms of the verification process. And that process, as a step one, is then handed over to the various enforcement agencies to look at other national security aspects. So it's things like those which are going to make a difference. The Mahindra Group is doing a lot of work in agriculture. They're using artificial intelligence very, very efficiently, at least as of now, in terms of what kind of products, what kind of implements, what kind of farm goods and services will work in what location. How does land holding size define the use of agricultural implements, and how AI is helping Mahindra work on those guidelines. So a lot of work is happening, and I believe a lot of work will continue happening. We are still in very interesting times where the ground beneath us is shifting as we speak. 3 years back, none of us would be having this conversation. Today, the world is at a different point. 5 years down the line, 3 years down the line, it's very difficult to predict the speed at which change is taking place. I've been witness to a time when large interventions have made huge social change. The mobile phone is an example of that. Over 10 years, from mid-90s to the early 2010 period, the mobile phone was probably the single biggest social tool for upward evolution, whether it is a local dhobiwala, or whether it is a plumber, or whether it is you and I working in our corporate offices. But that transformation took 10 or 15 years. What we are seeing now will probably happen in a year or two. And those who are able to master this ability, those who are able to understand the DNA of this, I think will certainly go forward. The AI is not just a replacement for human intelligence, but a tool to amplify it. The real danger, and this Sydney Harris said this, the real danger is not that machines will think like humans, but that humans will think like machines. So I think that is on the other side that we have to look at, how AI can not just be an advantage but a disadvantage as well. And I think that's an area that also should be part of focus, should be focus of any conference, which any activity, any seminar which happens on artificial intelligence, because there is no all good side of any major intervention which happens in the world. So on one hand, you have the NAT grade or the NTRO, which is a national AI-based security service in India, which very brilliantly was able to nab a crook, who had used his phone to make a 20 rupee Paytm digital payment in Nagpur, while the crime he conducted was in Asansol. And the NAT grade through AI and through analytics, for just because that culprit, that crook did a payment of 20 rupees in Nagpur, was able to correlate and co-link and get that person arrested because of the use of AI. But at the same time, we have to also understand that it can be a tool to not only scare, it can be a tool which can challenge, which can invade privacy. So anything and any work that we do around it must balance these aspects of artificial intelligence. So like I said, of course, financial services, manufacturing, I don't need to tell you all of this. I mean, I'm sure you understand. Predictive analytics, healthcare, again, brilliant work, AI is doing. I was talking to someone the other day of the brilliant work that AI is doing, and also about some of the difficult issues. Digi Yatra, somebody mentioned to me. I was very interesting. I was chatting to someone, and I don't want to scare any of you, but Digi Yatra, I don't know how many of you use DigiYatra, but it's when you go for a flight, you can take this fast track way of entering the airport and getting to your aircraft. I don't know how many of you know that DigiYatra stores data not just about your travel, but stores data which you may not even know. So, for example, through one single tool, I can argue on both sides of the fence. It makes your life easy. AI is making life easy in healthcare and so on. But look at the downside also when you look at anything. So just DigiYatra is one example where through DigiYatra, the government has information on your travel. It has information on how many bags you check in. It has information as detailed and as micro as you fly from Delhi to Bombay on an Indigo and you order a chicken jangli sandwich. That's the level of detailing that exists. So my question is that, is it all good? Or you need to keep asking questions continuously in your mind? That where do you draw the line? So all that is going to be part of your role. Why I'm saying this is because I believe that if you get onto any bandwagon, if you get onto any train and any vehicle which has velocity and speed, which AI today is, you need to understand and balance both the pros and the cons. You need to be able to articulate and see the strengths of a very powerful tool, a very powerful medium, and you must also see the danger in the wrong hands. And that is where balance exists for all of you and must exist for all of you. So anyway, so I don't want to go on for a much longer period of time. I think I've already exceeded, but wish you all the very best for the future. And AI is not going to replace any of you. I think that I'm very clear it's not going to replace people. I only believe it is going to amplify your strength if you use it wisely. If you believe in it, if you're able to master it wisely. It'll make you more competitive, more future ready, but not just for economic success. And I stress on the fact not just for economic success, but also to solve challenges in education, healthcare, in whatever field and whatever work you do. So let us embrace this, but with a degree of wariness, with a degree of understanding and balancing and making sure it does. And I will only end by quoting what Einstein once said, in late 1940s. I don't even know what was the stage of the computers that some basic computing ability had by that time started. But Einstein was a visionary, and I quote him when he said that computers will be incredibly fast, accurate, but stupid. Humans are very slow, very inaccurate, but brilliant. Together, they will rule the destiny of our planet. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your time.
We sincerely thank you, sir, for this thought-provoking session. It is indeed a challenge for companies to balance themselves on AI and reach customers who have now shifted to AI for recommendations. Your insights have meaningfully contributed to the conference. It is a great honor and privilege for us to welcome our chief guest for today's conference, Dr. Upmit Singh. Dr. Singh is currently the Chief Operating Officer at Information Technology and IT-Enabled Services Sector Skills Council, NASSCOM, where he oversees operations and works with industry, government, and academic institutions to support future-aligned, industry-aligned skill standards and workforce readiness. Sir also leads Future Skills Prime, a national digital skilling initiative launched by the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology and NASSCOM under the Digital India program, which provides courses and certifications in emerging technologies and professional skills. With over 18 years of experience, Dr. Upmit Singh has worked across government advisory, public procurement, digital transformation, and industry strategy. Prior to joining Sector Skills Council NASSCOM, he was associated with Wipro, Cognizant Business Consulting, Deloitte, PwC, and Government e-Marketplace under the Department of Commerce, Government of India, where he worked on program management and marketplace operations. Sir's professional journey also includes leadership and consulting roles at NISG and Deloitte, giving him deep exposure to policy, consulting, and operational excellence at scale. Academically, Dr. Singh holds a BTech in Computer Science from NIT Allahabad, MBA from IIM Lucknow, and a PhD from IIFT Delhi, reflecting a rare blend of technical expertise, management insight, and research depth. Sir works with the government, industry, and academic institutions to align skill standards with industry needs and employability outcomes. His efforts are leading to the expansion and adoption of digital skilling programs across states, universities, and training ecosystems. We are truly honored to have with us today a leader whose work plays an instrumental role in shaping India's digital talent ecosystem. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in extending a warm welcome to our chief guest, Dr. Upmit Singh.
I'm just checking the time to see whether it's good afternoon or good morning. So good morning, everyone. Thank you so much, the Institute, for having me here, Honorable Directors, esteemed faculty. As I see the names, I see all NASSCOM members also being here, right? So welcome all the NASSCOM members here. I think the topic of this event is quite pertinent to where we are now. If you look at, we are at the defining narrative of our decade. And we at NASSCOM, we are the industry body, the apex industry body for IT, ITS, right? And now we don't think it's IT, ITS anymore, it's digital now, right? So we are at a vantage point. We can see what's happening in the industry, the policy, how is the hiring pattern going on. We interact, we are the bridge between academia, government, and the industry, right? So we get a very different, very balanced view of what's happening around here. And as we get into this and we see, yes, AI is there, but importantly, what we are missing, and I would like to add, I'm sorry, we have missed on the element of cybersecurity. I think with AI, the impact of cybersecurity is going to be immense. I think that's something that all of us need to, balance and see how do we enable these two. What I would be speaking about is, a more balanced view of how the industry is shaping, what is the research outlook looking at? How does the government look at this, right? The government is also an important stakeholder in this entire ecosystem, right? Whether it's UGC, whether it's AICT, whether it's, India AI mission, how do they look into it? And then lastly and most importantly, what does it mean for you as students there? So if you look at, the research, you look at the World Economic Forum report, you look at the Bain report, the NASSCOM Bain report, etc., you'll see that the adoption of digital technology, I'm not just saying AI, right? It's about adoption of digital technologies has grown up. Be it manufacturing, we are looking at circular manufacturing, right? Where AI and robotics will do end-to-end manufacturing. We are looking at precision agriculture. So all of this is going to go up. Look at the displacement, the job displacement that we are talking about. I'm not saying job loss, I'm saying job displacements, right? Some would go down, taper down, other job roles will come up. The topmost job displacement or requirement would be in the area of AI and cybersecurity. There is a dearth of 50 to 60% in these two key areas. And when I'm saying AI, it's not just about hardcore geeks coding, right, or creating models, etc. It's about how do, there is a triage that I'll be speaking about. How is that triage and where do we fit in that triage, right? If you look at the investments that have taken place in the last 2 years, AI, big data, and cloud have taken about, if I'm not mistaken, about $500 billion or $500 billion of investment from the $750 billion of investment in digital, right? So these are the mammoth elephants in the room who are going to take the maximum investment. Everybody is spending, you see the data center expansion that is happening across. And people are now talking about what is the ROI, right? And that's going to impact all of us. If you look at the other critical element, just move away from digital. What are the top 20 skills that are required till 2030? And you would be surprised that of these top 20 skills, some would be masonry, some would be as, simple as electrician, right? There are 4 digital skills that are coming in there. AI, cybersec is there, along with digital fluency. I think that's more important for some of us here. We might not getting into a completely technical world, but we need to be aware of what these are and also arm us and also be protected in these nature, right? From a government perspective, we are looking at, I'm sure all of us are, aware of Viksit Bharat at the rate 2047, right? And what is it looking at? It is looking at India GDP of $25 to $35 trillion by 2047, right? There's also something called as an India AI mission, which is working on sovereign AI. When we say sovereign AI, there are a lot of language models that Amit spoke about, et cetera, et cetera. They are all training on our data sets, right? But we'll be losing out if we don't create our data models, which are more adapted to our utilization. The government of India has also created elements around like Bhashini, which does the translations, et cetera. So there's a localization element that comes in. Apart from this, the government is not just looking at, economical value of AI, but also looking at social empowerment. How do they use AI in social empowerment? When ChatGPT was launched in India and was released actually globally, and NASSCOM was asked at the highest level of the government, what does it mean for India? And there was a lot of talk at that point of time, should we regulate AI? Some countries were looking at bringing in regulation, clamping the utilization of AI, right? But then we as NASSCOM thought it's of no value to clamp AI because it's anyways going to be there, right? Whether you use it, there'll be people who will find ways to do it, etc. But rather, what is the regulatory framework rather than creating regulations? What are the good practices of adoption of AI is something that we should look at. And from there, we started on a genesis of something called as responsible AI, that now we are also incorporating in the frameworks of government, etc. From there, we started off, and then we worked with across ministries, etc., to look at, many of us here are blessed to be in such an institute where we can afford these education, etc. But what about tier 2, tier 3 location where people are unable to afford all of this? So with the Ministry of Skill Development, we also created something called as SOAR, which was more aspirational towards students. My son goes to a school in Delhi. They have AI in the class 6 curriculum also, right? But if you go to a state board, they don't have AI. So I'm just bringing the flavor of, see how, the government is also looking at holistically, how do you create the next generation to also be a AI native, right from government schools also. So they created a program called SOAR, which is addressing class 6 to 12 on AI, and they are now saying we'll add more elements around it, right? So this program is called SOAR. From there, if you look at the Ministry of Electronics and IT, they have created the programs, etc. But most importantly, I think what the regulatory framework has helped us is the new education policy and NCRF guidelines, which allows us as institutes, etc., to also embed, industry relevant content. And I have been blessed to be able to visit at least 500-600 institutes during my tenure at NASSCOM, and I've seen, even the curriculum requires, in some institutes, requires 4 years of calibration. Once it's done for 4 years, right? Some institutes are more flexible. So these allow us to embed industry relevant content within the context as part of the 100% credit equivalence, etc. But what does it mean for the students like you is your institute is working hard towards getting all of these as part of a curriculum to be more native for you, so that you get the right information there. But as you drawn upon joining the industry, and Amit spoke about real life examples, I wouldn't go there. He's done a wonderful job there. What you need to be aware of is how do you leverage AI to enhance your productivity. If you ever get an opportunity, please do visit the India AI pyramid, right? It's a pyramid, and the base of the pyramid is all. Then as we go up, it's many, and then it comes to few. So the idea is that all of us as citizens need to be aware of what is AI, what is cybersecurity. Many of us will be using this to enhance our productivity. That's where you and I fall. And very few will be creating those large language models, right? Those LLMs or, So the idea is all of us to be cyberly aware, know what's AI, use it to enhance our productivity. We are the middle band in the pyramid. So my request to all of you as students here is, there are 2, 3 things that are more important that comes as part of where we are now. Be resilient. When we talk to industry and all our member firms, there's an adaptability quotient that has come in now. Earlier it was, आपका वो कितना coding आता है, कितना ये आता है. Now it is about how adaptive you are. You know a tool today, 6 months down the line, the tool is dead and gone, right? So how adaptive are you? Responsible AI, I was just speaking to some faculty members and across the boards, plagiarism is a huge issue, right? And how do you use it more responsibly? Get your hands dirty, write prompts, learn about prompts. It will enhance how you leverage these tools to get the best results out. Industry is not looking at, people who come with problem. Be a problem solver, right? Come with solutions. And the main item here is how do you orchestrate AI to help you support this, right? Can you leverage it to be there? And like the speaker before me was speaking, we need to become T-shaped professionals. What do I mean by T-shaped professionals? You can be in banking, you can be in finance, have that domain part, but also have the technology part there, right? There's a construct called as T-shaped courses that is going on very well around now. But as we become T-shaped professionals, it will help us. How do we leverage and enhance the productivity using AI or any other, and various tools that come along with it. And with that, I welcome you all to this conference. I hope the deliberations are in this, in track of what we have discussed. How do you leverage this? Please, learn, unlearn is more important than ever, right? And learn, right? So I think that's the most important part. Thank you so much for having me here. Look forward.
Thank you, sir, for the enlightening address, highlighting the importance of cybersecurity along with AI. With this modern AI tools, it is not about technicality, but as the tools are evolving, we need to be adaptive and agile. Moving further, may I now request Professor Praveen Gupta to present a memento to Dr. Upmeet Singh as a token of our gratitude. Thank you, sir.
May I now request Dr. Kavita Pabreja to present a memento to Mr. Adarsh Shastri as a token of our gratitude. Thank you, ma'am.
May I now request Dr. Rajkumari Mittal to present a memento to Mr. Amit Gupta as a token of our gratitude. Thank you, ma'am. Now, I would like to request Dr. Anisha Gupta, co-convener of the conference, to present the vote of thanks for the inaugural session. Please, ma'am.
Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of Lal Bahadur Shastri Institute of Management, Delhi, it is my privilege to present the vote of thanks for the inaugural session of the National AI and DS Conference 2026. At the core of this year's theme, that is artificial intelligence and business transformation, shaping India's digital future, lies the recognition of the critical shift in today's business environment, where artificial intelligence is no longer an experimental tool, but a strategic enabler driving efficiency, resilience, and innovation across industries. The inaugural session has thoughtfully laid the foundation by highlighting how AI is redefining decision making, operational excellence, and competitive advantage in the Indian and global context. We are deeply honored to have with us our chief guest, Dr. Upmit Singh. Sir, we sincerely thank you for your insightful address and for sharing valuable perspectives drawn from your extensive experience in skill development, industry academia collaboration, and workforce transformation. Our heartfelt gratitude to our guest of honor, Mr. Amit Gupta. Sir, your address offered rich insights into how AI is transforming business, strategy, analytics-driven decision-making, and global operations. We sincerely thank Mr. Adarsh Shastri, member BOG, for gracing the occasion and for his continued guidance and encouragement. His association reinforces the Institute's commitment to ethical leadership and nation building. We owe our deepest gratitude to our chief patron and chief mentor, Sri Anil Shastri ji, whose vision and constant encouragement continue to inspire us to create platforms that meaningfully integrate technology, management, education, and societal impact. We are extremely grateful to our director, Professor Praveen Gupta, for his dynamic leadership and unwavering support in fostering an environment where academic rigor and contemporary industry insights converge seamlessly. I would also like to extend my sincere thanks to Professor Rekha Gupta, Dean Academics, for her continuous guidance and support throughout the planning and execution of this conference. I'm deeply thankful to Dr. Kavita Papreja and Dr. Rajkumari Mittal, conference conveners, for their dedication, meticulous planning, and relentless efforts in shaping every aspect of this conference. All faculty members of IT and operations area need special mention of appreciation. I would also like to acknowledge all the conference committee members whose collective efforts have ensured the smooth and successful conduct of this event. I also take this opportunity to acknowledge Colonel Ajay Sood, our Chief Administrative Officer, under whose able guidance our administrative and support teams have worked tirelessly behind the scenes. I would also like to appreciate the DARE Club, the management grid, along with all our student coordinators and volunteers for their enthusiasm, commitment, and hard work. Finally, I extend my heartfelt thanks to all our faculty members and students for the presence and active participation. It is your support that makes such academic endeavors successful. Thank you, everyone, and have a wonderful day ahead.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your encouraging words. Thank you to all our distinguished guests and the audience for your enthusiastic participation to contribute to the success of this inaugural session. I request all the faculty members of IT and Systems and Operations and Business Analytics area to kindly come on the stage for a group photograph, and I request all the dignitaries on the dais to kindly come forward for the same. Please, sir. Please, ma'am. I request all the dignitaries to please proceed for high tea, and we request the audience, the students, to remain seated until the dignitaries leave the hall.
बाहर कोई नहीं जाएगा उसको बोल दे। No one is allowed to go out. We'll be starting the panel discussion by 12:20, so everyone has to remain seated in the auditorium. No one is allowed to go out. Please settle down. आज तक वहाँ खड़ा हो कोई वहाँ से बाहर हो गया ना ये।
Guys, please remain seated.
हाँ जी।
बच्चों को उठाना शुरू कर। हृदय कहाँ है? दिख नहीं रहा। अच्छा
नहीं गया था।
हृदय, 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 ऑल सेट, चलो ऑल द बेस्ट।
इधर भी चेंज करना है।
ये किसका स्पीकर है ये?
Students are requested to settle down, please. Everyone who's standing, settle down. We'll begin with the panel discussion in a while. Please settle down, everyone.
इंटरनेट कैप्चर बनाने का।
मुझे तो कीर्ति ने हाँ बोला मुझे कीर्ति ने बोला कि बता दीजिए। सबको जाने दे रहा है वो अचानक से।
Why? Who is allowing? Arushi, are they allowed to go? Why are they going? कौन है वहाँ पे जाने दे रहा है? 5 मिनट बचा है बस। 5 मिनट। 5 मिनट बचा है बस। Why are they doing this?
करेंगे हैंडल खुद में।
हेलो हेलो, सबका करना ठीक है। हेलो हो गया मैम, हो गया बस 5 मिनट में। हाँ 5 मिनट में मैम हो मैम हो गया बस, मेरा 5 मिनट दे दीजिए, हो गया। Hello, hello, hello. Hello.
ज्यादा नहीं मारना, तुम बहुत ज्यादा मार देता है। हल्का मार, सुन हल्का ठुस, हल्का सा ठुस करके, बस इतना, पूरा रगड़ के नहीं रखना, हिट नहीं मारना, हिट जैसे वो तो आगे बताओगे।
एक ही बोलना है, आज तो एक ही रखता है। दो ठीक है, क्योंकि अगर सपोज यहाँ से इधर जंप करना पड़ गया तो फिर बच्चे तो नहीं आने वाले, 28 हो चुके हैं।
पृथुल, रजत सर की प्रोफाइल अपडेट हो गई? रजत सर की प्रोफाइल अपडेट होगी जो सुबह आया था? होगी, ठीक है।
I request the students from the last 2 rows to please come forward.
लास्ट 2 रोज फटाफट. सियार्स, आयुष, वंदित, मृणाल फटाफट आगे लाओ. वंदित, वंदित एक और रो आगे, दोनों साइड से. लास्ट रो, मूव इट फास्ट.
जब मैं बोलना शुरू सुनो 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 ओए जब मैं ये बोलना शुरू कर दूँ ना तो जस्ट टर्न ठीक है खड़े क्यों नहीं हो रहे लोग
Good afternoon, everyone. I, Kriti Chaudhary,
and I, Hriday Tuteja,
welcome you all to today's panel discussion.
The topic of today's panel discussion is artificial intelligence in supply chain and operations, from predictive planning to autonomous execution. Supply chain and operations management play a critical role in determining organizational efficiency, resilience, and competitiveness. In an increasingly volatile and interconnected global environment, artificial intelligence has emerged as a vital capability in transforming how supply chains and operations are planned, managed, and executed.
Artificial intelligence enables predictive planning by leveraging advanced analytics and machine learning to forecast demand, optimize inventory, improve capacity planning, and predict risks. From an operations management perspective, AI enhances end-to-end visibility, improves decision quality, and enables agile, data-driven coordination across supply chain partners. Now we would like to announce the guests for today's panel discussion. Mr. Abhineet Sood, Associate Director, Alvarez and Marcel. Mr. Alok Kumar Sinha, AI Strategy and Portfolio Director, Ericsson. Mr. Ajay Swaroop, Director, Supply Chain Management, Samsung Electronics, and Dr. Rajat Buddhiraja, Director, Innovation Lead and Account Architect, Capgemini. We now request all our panelists to come up on stage and take their seats.
It is with great honor that I introduced Mr. Abhineet Sood, currently serving as the Associate Director, Alvarez and Marcel. Prior to this, he served as a Deputy Director, Process Excellence and Transformation at PepsiCo, where he leads large-scale transformation initiatives across global operations. His work centers on embedding AI, automation, and continuous improvement frameworks to drive measurable, sustainable business outcomes at enterprise scale. Prior to PepsiCo, Mr. Sood was part of strategy and consulting practice at Accenture, where he led multi-million-dollar transformation programs for Fortune 500 organizations, helping them move from value discovery to value realization through the adoption of generative AI, intelligent automation, process mining, RPA, and AI and ML solutions. Known for his passion for scalable Gen AI and agentic AI solutions, Mr. Sood consistently bridges the gap between strategy and execution for achieving lasting competitive advantage. An alumnus of Lal Bahadur Shastri Institute of Management, Delhi, and the Indian Institute of Management, Lucknow, we are delighted to welcome Mr. Abhineet Sood and look forward to his perspectives at the panel discussion. May I request Mr. Manik Agarwal, Treasurer, Management Grid, to please welcome Mr. Abhineet Sood with a planter as a token of our gratitude.
Thank you, sir. I'm delighted to introduce Mr. Alok Kumar Sinha, currently serving as AI Strategy and Portfolio Director at Ericsson, where he leads strategic AI initiatives and drives high-impact business engagements for global operations. Prior to his current role, Mr. Alok headed automation and AI transformation at Ericsson, where he defined and executed the automation, artificial intelligence, analytics, and consistently delivered strong financial outcomes. Earlier, as product director and head of virtual startup at Subex, he led cross-functional teams to build AI and ML-driven cloud-native products leveraging network, OSS, and BSS data. Sir has also worked at MDocs, where he delivered next-generation assurance and analytics solutions across 2G to 5G networks. Sir has worked at consulting roles at Ericsson, where he supported large-scale mobile broadband engagements across Europe. Academically distinguished, holding an MBA from IIT Delhi, a certified Scrum product owner, driven by a passion for continuous learning and human empowerment, Sir specializes in enabling teams to bridge the gap between cutting-edge technology and long-term enterprise growth and innovation. May I now request Mr. Manav Vij, Vice President, Management Grid, to present a planter to Mr. Alok Kumar Sinha as a token of our gratitude.
It is my pleasure to welcome Mr. Ajay Swaroop, currently serving as Director, Supply Chain Management at Samsung Electronics, where he leads end-to-end supply chain operations for large revenue-critical businesses. With experience spanning FMCG, FMCD, medical, agriculture, chemicals, and paints, he has managed supply chain operating at multi-billion-dollar scale, combining operational rigor with forward-looking transformation. Mr. Swaroop has led AI-enabled transformations across organizations with revenues exceeding $2 billion US, enabling more accurate forecasting, smarter inventory planning, and faster data-backed decisions. Sir has also played a key role in setting up global supply chain hubs, successfully transitioning operations worth over $500 million US to offshore teams while maintaining business continuity and improving efficiency. Earlier, Mr. Swaroop served as Vice President Global Sales and Operations Planning at Strides, held leadership roles at Samsung Electronics as General Manager, Supply Chain, where he has reduced inventory by over $5.2 million US within a single year. We are delighted to have Sir in this panel discussion. I would now like to invite Ms. Khushi Goyal, Secretary, Management Grid, to welcome Mr. Ajay Swaroop with a planter. I would like to add that Sir is also an alumnus of Lal Bahadur Shastri Institute of Management.
Thank you, sir. It is my privilege to introduce Dr. Rajat Budhiraja, Director, Innovation Lead and Account Architect at Capgemini Engineering, the moderator for today's panel discussion. Sir is working closely with one of the Capgemini's platinum accounts, where he brings a strong industry perspective at the intersection of data science, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and enterprise-scale application systems. With a rare blend of deep research expertise and practical delivery experience, Sir plays a pivotal role in shaping innovation agendas and translating emerging technologies into tangible business outcomes. A PhD in artificial intelligence, Sir has focused on building advanced intelligent frameworks that bridge theoretical foundations with real business world applicability through journals, articles, patents, and various conference publications. Sir is known for his ability to balance innovation with execution, discipline, helping organizations move confidently from experimentation to enterprise-wide adoption. Through his leadership, research, and hands-on architectural guidance, Dr. Budhiraja continues to drive impactful innovation that connects advanced AI capabilities with real business needs. Now, I'd like to invite Mr. Himanshu Goyal, Coordinator, Data Analytics and Research Enthusiast Club, to kindly present a planter to Dr. Rajat Budhiraja as a token of our gratitude. Thank you, sir. We now hand over the proceedings of this session to Dr. Rajat Budhiraja. Please, sir.
Hello, everyone. A very warm good afternoon to all of you. Right. So, I also welcome my esteemed panel members on the stage. Like, we'll be talking through the role of artificial intelligence in supply chain and operations, right, from predictive planning to autonomous execution. So first and foremost, it's very important to understand what these terms basically mean, right? So anyone who would want to talk about supply chain and operations, what exactly means, right? So the idea is, like, we'll be definitely talking through the evolution, but the intent is to understand the essence, what we are exactly talking. And you should be able to appreciate it and come back with an equal or good amount of questions as well, right? Because panel members who are sitting here, they have hands-on experience, right? And that too not a couple of years, but maybe decades of experience, right? It's always good to hear out from everyone. If you talk about a supply chain, right, so you understand it is an end-to-end system that delivers or moves some sort of a product or a service, right, from the source. Source is the raw materials to the final form. That is your final customer. Right? There are multiple stages involved, but we need to ensure that along with the products and services, some important content is also getting transferred. It's like a pipeline, right, where you have your intelligence, you have your money, and most importantly, the decisions that are basically passing through as well. Okay, so it's more about supply chain and what do you talk about operations? What do you mean by that? So these are your set of processes, right, that basically help you transform the inputs into the outputs much more efficiently and consistently. Right? So these are the two keywords. I'm just trying to talk through some keywords so that the panel makes sense to you. The discussion that happens, at least it makes sense to you. Okay? You should be able to correlate. That is the most important part of it. So we talked about supply chain and operations, basic key definitions in layman terms. Okay? I'm not going into the text. We can always have separate sessions for that, but from a layman perspective. Now comes predictive planning, and it's also autonomous execution. So before that, there's a world called AI. What is that magic wand of AI that is just flavoring everything? Like it's the spice that is getting added to every dish nowadays so that you can enjoy and convert that bland flavor into the spicy flavor. Okay, so in a very simple term, AI is some sort of a supersonic brain, right, that is learning from data, and it pretends to be the smarter form of human being, right? And humans are the one who are actually providing all the data to it, tons of information. So that supersonic brain is the AI component of it. And how it basically gels with supply chain and operations, that becomes the discussion today, okay? Now you have two more terms, predictive planning and autonomous execution. So how do you differentiate between these? Predictive planning, as the name suggests, some sort of prediction comes into play. What is coming at us, okay? What is coming at us? That is the important part. And that can be some form of disruption, that can be some form of shortage, that can be some sort of constraint, and the most simplest and the most relatable factor, the demand that comes to you, okay? So how? It basically, you can see or have some foresight where you can predict with the use of AI. This is what the predictive planning all stands about. The question is, what is coming at you? What is the next logical step? The next logical step is, we have the data. Now, we need to generate or basically extract out the insights from it and take an appropriate action, right? And when you are in a position to take that action, it transforms into some sort of autonomous execution, okay? So this is the primary difference. So one is basically reactive in nature. When you talk about predictive planning, so you have the data, and based upon that, you need to take the actions. Something more reactive. But when this reaction converts into a proactive form, right, where you have the data, but now you are able to take the appropriate actions so that you are not getting impacted by whatever is coming at you, okay? So that takes the form of autonomous execution. So this forms the base for the discussion today, okay? I was just setting up the theme, setting up the environment, okay? So this forms the base, and now the primary question is, what happens when Trump wakes up looking at the right side of the bed tomorrow? And what happens when Trump wakes up looking at the left side of the bed day after tomorrow? Everything changes, right? So it is depending upon his mood, how things are moving. There can be equally different sort of, but equal scale, or much more higher scale disruptions that can happen. We have already gone through the pandemic, right? Everything got impacted. The dynamics changed. 360 is a smaller degree for that, okay? Everything's changed. So the point is, we are living in a world of volatility today, and same applies to supply chain, okay? The supply chains that are operating today, they are operating in a world of volatility, whether it be some sort of food crisis, economic crisis, geopolitical situations, pandemic, or any other stuff you can correlate with. So the idea is to basically use AI in such a manner that we are not making only real decisions, but making better and much more intelligent decisions to take the appropriate actions right in time, okay? And the core idea for the next 90 minutes, 80 minutes, 75 minutes, whatever we discuss, is that we need to draw that line of separation. We need to understand what is actually real and what is aspirational in nature, okay? So that once you move out of this room, you have certain clear takeaways from it, okay? So this forms the entire theme, and maybe we are good to start, but just before starting, a small quick question, just checking the temperature of the room, right? So maybe we can just have a quick raise of hands. I'm going to ask 2 specific questions, very simple in nature. Whatever I have talked about, right? It should not be any rocket science now. 2 quick questions, raise of hands. First, how many of you have been involved in certain AI pilots, artificial intelligence pilots, for supply chain? Some of you maybe have been experienced, some of you would be freshmen directly from college into the postgrad, right? But the point is, if you have done any project, done certain assignments, have you done some AI pilots on supply chain? Quick raise of hands, 5 seconds. Anyone? Anyone? So the next question becomes invalid, okay? If we don't have any raise of hands for AI pilots, my next question was, who took that journey from AI pilots to AI at scale? So I think if you don't have pilots, scale becomes relevant. And maybe now the discussion will become much more relevant for you. And this forms the underlying basis for the discussion. Since you don't have that experience, maybe extract out something from the discussion. These 3 gentlemen who are sitting here, they have a vast experience. I am again reiterating. So let's utilize the next 75 minutes in whatever way possible, right? Park your questions. We'll come to audience questions at the end, but let's try to hear out from all these people first, okay? Yeah, maybe we can start now. Sure. So we talk about the journey and the evolution, right? We talk about AI. So let me ask my first question. How we have seen AI played its role, right, while we have been moving through this entire supply chain cycle over the past decades, right? So AI started in 1950s, but the real impact of AI came only in 2000s, right, after that, okay? So how we are foreseeing or seeing the evolution, like how AI is basically impacting, right, starting from the predictive planning stage and as we move ahead, right? So maybe Ajay, if you would want to share your insights on that.
Okay, thanks, Rajat. Good afternoon, everyone. So, first of all, I would like to thank everyone for having me and the panelists here. We've had quite a few experiences, a rough and a good ride. I've been about 2 decades in the industry, and all in supply chain. Apparently, I'm also one of you. I'm an alum of Lal Bahadur Shastri, 2004 batch. And one of the very few ones who entered supply chain right from the beginning. I was recruited with Nerolac Paints from this very campus. I mean, the RK Puram campus back then. And 22 years of supply chain. The question is, how has it changed, how AI has changed the supply chain over the last few years? That's, having said that, you know, when I started my career in supply chain, one of the hottest things that was there was the evolution of ERP systems. SAP. You know, people who knew SAP were in hot demand. When I joined Nerolac Paints, I did not know anything about SAP. I was just very happy that I would be getting the exposure to SAP because as I got placed in Nerolac Paints, I understood that they're one of the most tech-oriented companies because they are the first ones to deploy a tool called SAP APO. All right, anybody knows what's APO? Keep it interactive, guys. I mean, see, like I said, we are all part of you. We've seen what it goes, what happens in the industry. And when I was on the other side of the table, there were so many questions brimming up, but I was very shy to ask the panelist. I thought, maybe what if it's a wrong question? But it's okay. If you have any questions, just pop up and ask. That's it. Nobody is going to mind here. In fact, it's going to help so many others who might be thinking of the same question. So coming back, when I joined Nerolac Paints, I did not have any knowledge about SAP. SAP has two versions, the normal transaction version, and then APO was the next level of ERP systems. APO's full form is Advanced Planning Optimizer, right? And within APO also, we used to have 3 runs in it. One used to call the heuristic run, another one was called CTM, and the third one was called optimizer. Okay, heuristic was something which was very basic, but apparently, out of the Fortune 500 companies, barely 10 or 20 companies were in the process of deploying it. And Nerolac Paints, being one of those Japanese and Indian MNCs of sorts, they were one of the first ones to deploy it. Within the company, people who knew that were the poster boys of the industries. They started getting job offers every year. Why I'm saying this is because today also there are certain skills which are very hot in demand, and you should be today thinking, and thanks to these panelists over here, I think they can give you that guidance as to what should be shaping your career from now on, and how you would be seen very differently if you know a skill and if you don't know a skill when you start your journey in the career. Coming back, APO, SAP, these were some things which did not have too much of AI, rather none of AI. They were doing predictive modeling, because predictive modeling was the key thing to do, but using a lot of statistical forecasting. That statistical forecasting used to be models which were inbuilt, and information which was given to it, hard-coded, at the back-end data which was there in the, I would say, captive servers of the company, only that much data was available. Nothing externally was available. So all we had was our own data, what Nerolac Paints had, was being used to predict what's going to happen tomorrow. And history always repeats itself when it comes to data. So whatever has happened in the past will happen in the future. With that premise is what statistical forecasting works. Of course, you put more factors into it, a lot of more history into it, it will take all of that into account. That's the whole philosophy of predictive modeling, right? Any machine learning, deep learning, neural networks, everything works on that same logic. You give data, it gives you future data. And the aspect of being a professional in supply chain, or for that matter, I think in every industry, the others would also tell me, is you are not there to tell them what happened yesterday. You are valued in the organization when you can tell your bosses what's going to happen tomorrow. You are the future predictor of what's going to happen tomorrow, and your skill will help you do that. And the more accurately you do that, the more valuable resource you will be for the company, and the more valuable resource you'll be for your own self if you apply that in your own life also, using predictive modeling in stock markets, when you'll have money to invest in stock markets, real estate, or any other cryptos, whatever. Same concepts will be applied. So point number one, artificial intelligence from back then, when it was only using statistics, to today using the new age Gen AI, the generative AI concept, is now the evolution is that it has come to a decision, it has come to a point where AI is not just telling you what's going to happen, it is also giving you an advice and a decision that do this. We were not having that kind of predictive modeling there. It was just showing this could happen with certain probabilities. But now the Gen AI is saying a lot more about many aspects of the business are being taken into account, and then we use that by simply taking the decision, shutting our eyes at times and saying, okay, let's go ahead and see this, what Gen AI is saying, right? The next one would be agentic AI, which I think some of them can tell you more, which is actually doing what AI, doing the actual thing. And then the further one would be physical AI. So that's the evolution. Having said that, we are still at a very, very premature stage of Gen AI itself. I don't think many companies today are using that kind of Gen AI, but I think we are all on the verge of switching over to Gen AI and agentic AI very, very soon. So with that, I think probably...
Sure. Thanks, Ajay. So one important point that Ajay highlighted, it's not a toggle or a switch, right? It's a journey. So just remember, journey is the keyword here. It's a complete transition or a journey that is actually happening. Let me pass it over to Alok. Alok, can you please share some insight from your experience as well?
Sure, sure. Maybe I'll try to extend what we heard from Ajay, and I'll keep it a bit practical from your perspective. I believe most of you are consumer of mobile connectivity, right? Anyone without mobile connectivity here? Okay, good. So I think we heard about how we have evolved from statistical analysis and taking decision basis that what happened yesterday. That used to happen in 2G era when I started my career. We used to have a lot of data, how much traffic network is generating and what insights I can get from that and how we fix that so that it doesn't happen tomorrow. That used to be the state of taking actions. As we moved with 3G, 4G, when the data explosion started happening because the consumers started consuming more intensive applications, videos and all, that's where a very natural urge to evolve towards predictive analytics using machine learning and deep learning, because we had huge data. So that data was the fabric, and I believe you contributed to that because consumption increased significantly, right? That's where we saw emergence of predictive and prescriptive analytics, wherein we don't just see what will happen tomorrow after 6 months, we'll also know what action we need to take to address that situation. So especially say, for example, if I am an operator, if I have to see how much investment I need to make next year, I need to see how much growth I will see in my network next year. So that's where AI, ML, deep learning, comes into, picture. Now, very important point we heard from the panel here is Gen AI and agentic AI. So the way this evolution is working today in telecom is that the connectivity, if you're talking to someone right now, and if there is a, say for example, bandwidth issue, which is giving you a bad experience, so the system will take that action and fix it by themselves rather than we coming into the picture. So that's the power agentic AI comes in, which means agentic AI has capability to do the closed loop automation for operations. When I say closed loop, without human intervention. Are we there? No. But with the pace with which we are seeing the evolution in AI, this will be the reality this year in some sectors and definitely next year in many sectors. And then maybe we'll talk about physical AI bit later. That is another revolutioning area. Maybe my other panel member can talk about that as we go ahead. Yeah.
Thanks, Alok. So Alok touched upon a topic of agentic, right? What does agentic stand for? Shortcut or the abbreviation is PRAL, right? P for perceiving and planning, R for reasoning, A for acting, and finally L, that is your learning part of it or the feedback component of it, right? And this is how the entire cycle goes through, right? Abhineet, maybe you can also share your thoughts, please.
So interesting conversation, and I love this field. I've been working in this space, automation, for last decade almost now, in consulting, working across clients. One, I'll probably pick up a couple of examples which illustrate or amplify how AI has evolved, but at the same time, it will also tell us where it is heading, right? So it's always good to see the journey so far and also anticipate where we are moving ahead, right? So I worked with ZS for a few years, 4 years, and they are very big in life sciences. So I'm picking an example from there because that's very much to do concerning with the patient safety. And it is one of the industries which has been a laggard or very slow to adopt AI because of the regulatory rigor or maybe the validation requirements and even the product life cycle. If you look at the drug product life cycle, it's very long, right? though there was an exception during COVID, but I mean, I'll not debate whether it was true, not true. So picking up an example, you know, there are a lot of decisions which you need to take. Earlier, it was always about forecasting the demand, uh, even target segmentation, which sales rep need to target which market, which doctors should go and they should visit, what kind of drug should be marketed, which region of the world, right? So all those decisions were more predictive, more data backed, right? Now with the evolution, how it has transformed is you have data from multiple sources, right? You have hospital data, you have what kind of disease could take epidemic proportions. You could also take data from your production constraints, suppliers. You have all those systems now getting integrated, which is helping you take better decisions, and managing patient safety is becoming much more solvable kind of a problem. And I'll talk about one thing you mentioned, right? Like agentic AI, one example which I definitely see in life sciences is, you know, there are, I mean, for a chemist or a CFA agent who is managing your drugs, right? Maybe critical drugs are very important for certain scenarios, right? So what it will do is, an AI agent will not only say that, okay, this is the drug, these are the simulations I have run, this is what is missing, and we should order. So it's not asking a human to create that order for you, right? What it will go ahead and do is, it will create it will trigger the replenishment of that particular drug, maybe reallocate inventory from different stores to say, okay, because this is a critical drug, can we reallocate? You all must have gone through those typical network diagram optimization problems. I'm sure we may not be using those simplex methods now, but that is where AI agent can trigger those decisions for you. You may not have to take that call as a human, right? So that is one example I would want to share.
Sure, thanks, Abhineet. So if you notice, Abhineet touched a very critical part of the complete AI journey. And he touched upon the medical and life sciences industry, right? And this is where, like, many of you would be having questions related to the ethics part of it, the sensitivity part of it, the responsibility part of it, right? We'll be discussing that as we move ahead. But this is a very important topic that needs to be addressed while we move on with the AI journey, okay? So we touched about the evolution. Maybe it would help more since we talked about the volatility in the market, in the world today, right? So maybe my next question would be directed that, how about you quantify these foresights when the available data is quite volatile in nature, right? It's not something that is based upon certain previous trends. There will be disruptions that we have been seeing, but how do you quantify these foresights if the data streaming is not consistent or not as per sanity that we expect, right? So all the disruptions come into play. And where do we see the industry standing today, right? Or maybe I can say stuck today when you talk about this foresighting, whether it be about the data, whether it be about the models, whether it be about foresighting. So where do we stand at? Or we do any culture shocks as well? Okay. So Abhineet, maybe would you want to start?
I was anyways keen to pick this up. It's an interesting area. I think in this volatile world, as you said, right, predicting accurately is almost impossible, if I may put it. What we can do is minimize the risk and be more prepared for the future, right? So how do we do that? So question is not about how accurate my forecasting model is, but rather, can I simulate all the scenarios which may exist? Can I minimize the loss or the cost which may incur? And most importantly, right, you also talked about the learning part, right? So as I go through that evolution, is my model also able to learn and adapt to those scenarios which are happening day in, day out? So I'll pick up maybe a very small example. I was working while with PepsiCo. We were working on a transformation project where we got a chance to see that a lot of orders were getting rejected because of the stock out or the inventory was not available. And when I say orders, those orders are coming from your modern retailers, your Big Bazaar, Modern Bazaar, to PepsiCo for their chips and the snack division which they have, right? So When we further deep dive, we found out that those orders were getting rejected due to stock out. And a further drill down told us that it is mostly happening in your e-commerce segment, right? The quick commerce industry, if I talk about your Blinkit and all these. And when we see these industries, right, you may have very good models, but you can't predict for, I mean, typically if you see your, most of your models are built for your linear, stable, some of those parameters you all know, right? The seasonal demands, maybe the festival season demand will, but they have something else, right? They have their algorithms working day in, day out, giving discounts on spot discounts. Maybe influencer marketing is coming up. They may also be focusing on brand promotions, and then their demand is very fluctuating, right? So how do you manage that, right? So my only last point is, rather than predicting for the future, have a visibility to what possible risk scenarios could be there, run your simulations, let AI take a decision for you, and then take a human judgment call, what is the right way forward.
Thanks, Abhineet. Alok, would you want to share something, some insights from your telecom perspective, industry you have been expert at?
Sure. I think we all can correlate with that example. I believe we all witnessed COVID, right? We have gone through that. So in telecom, what we saw, the models that time we were building was to predict and forecast network quality, network growth and all. And when we ran that model, which was giving very good result before 2019, right? But when COVID came in, the entire model, started giving us inaccurate output because the traffic pattern changed. When I say this, it means that everything got centered indoor because people were not moving. So there was no actual mobility traffic happening during that time, almost for a year. But I think what Abhineet said is relevant to every scenarios, but before I take it from a telecom perspective, let's understand when it comes to AI, there is a very simple proverb that we say, no data, no AI, okay? And better the data, the better accuracy of AI. So if we have data which is not in good quality, then either you have, as a consumer or as a professional, you have two actions, right? You trust that data or you do not trust. If you do not trust that data, then how would you take any decision? And if you trust to a certain extent, you can still draw out certain insights that will be helpful for you. And then there is a team of data engineers and data scientists who has techniques to improve the quality of such data also, because they work with those models, they would do exploratory data analysis, they would do some feature engineering, they would do some hyper parameter tuning, right, which will help us improve the quality of that data and draw out some insights which will be better than having no insights at all. But then this becomes a feedback to the model that this scenario is also there. And then model learns from that and prepares for the next phase of such kind of scenarios, right? So that's what we observed during COVID time. That was a learning experience for model also, not just human. And now we have model which can look into such kind of pattern where data is not that trustworthy suddenly, right? Yeah.
Thanks, Alok. So, Ajay, would you want to share your thoughts about, these you guys talked about the data, right? Would you want to talk about the adoption, how the industry is actually adopting it, or whether it has got stuck somewhere, right, based upon either data or it is actual the culture within the industry that is basically helping it out accelerate, or there's some sort of resistance, right, because of which the adoption is not happening so fast as what we are talking.
Yeah, data, data is the new oil, we know that. You said, no data, no AI. The opposite of that is garbage in, garbage out. So you give bad data, you get bad results. The typical constraint, Rajat, what I feel is that one is, of course, the mindset. See, the mindset right now is still not completely trusting AI. We do not think that AI is giving what we want. Probably AI's evolution is not there yet, or probably AI or data is not there yet, I would say. Reason why I'll tell you why data is not there yet is the kind of factors that we consider when we make a business decision, whether to supply X material to this location or whether to produce this, I am taking into a lot many factors which I do not have. For example, we talked about COVID. Last similar to COVID, when I can probably compare was the Spanish flu in the 1920s. Do we have that data? No. Rare earth metals today, Chinese people are stopping supplies to it. Do we have any alternate sources of data? And do you know where that metal can come from immediately? Answer is no. Semiconductors are completely in shortage and completely devastating so many industries. Do they have an option? Can data help them do anything? No. Then one, data is not there. Second, mindset is still not trusting AI. That's the reason why. See, we are probably a little bit technically oriented, this panel, right? But 99% of the people in the corporates are not AI friendly people. They do not understand a simple concept of what's random forest. They do not understand what could be a machine learning algorithm like. 99% don't understand that. So the mindset is like, ये तो काम ही नहीं करने वाला, हमको मालूम है हमको क्या करना है. So then that kind of mindset, and when anyways, a technical person like me would say, okay, let me give it a shot, I would also get constrained because I don't have that kind of data. So these two constraints are one of the things which are stopping us to go where we want to. But data centers, I'll give you the solution to that, maybe, which will happen in the coming times. You must have heard that the likes of Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, so much so our Ambani Saab, everybody is investing into what? Data centers. Why? Because that's exactly the problem that we are facing today, they're trying to solve. They're creating data centers to capture every single nuances of our lives into their servers. When that happens, they will have all the answers to the questions that we are coming up to. And then when you apply AI, what you were saying, right, Alok, you should get a much better response to the problem that we are facing through AI, and then we can adopt to it. So I hope I've answered the question.
Yeah, thanks, Ajay. But on the lighter side, if we are finding alternatives to rare earth or semiconductors, right? So Trump has already found a solution. He is going to take up Greenland and do that mining, at least. So US is in good space. It's now up to us how we find alternatives, okay? But jokes apart, so one thing is clear. AI journey is on, right? The techniques are coming up, but it is us, the organizations, the industry, who has to catch that pace, right? So the question is, we are talking about AI, but where is AI delivering the value today, okay? If we have that culture, mindset, where we are not adopting it, then where is it? We are capturing or extracting the value today, okay? So my next question would be, like, according to you, we talk about the predictive modeling stuff, right? So which particular use case in this entire supply chain journey, right, end to end, is delivering the most value today, okay? Alok, would you want to start?
Yeah, I'll start, but I'll also like to add on the previous question, because I believe this is very important for this audience, right? I think we touched and discussed about people and culture. Data challenges are being solved, okay? We have seen that. We have seen good growth. You guys don't need to worry on that. The challenge that we see in the industry is the mindset, and in our experience, what we have seen when we interact with Gen Zs, they come with a different mindset. So question is, are you guys developing a mindset which is AI savvy? Are you comfortable with AI? And I'll tell you, there is a lot of, I think, noise around AI will take away jobs and all, but I'm not sure if you have read about recent World Economic Forum's report, right? It will take away certain jobs, but it will create double the times new jobs. So are you ready for that? So this, whatever time you have left in your academics, my request is that please solve this problem at this stage only, which organization is facing, people and culture. And the next set of workforce would be AI driven. So when we run the transformation in be it supply chain, operations, anywhere, we are pushing people because we know that will be the state next 5 years we will be into, because we could see, like he said, we are technically oriented, we are business oriented, we know industry is going there, right? So you be ready for that. And the best way to do that is to have a roadmap on your personal skills, right? And I would request, I myself is also an academic student, I'm doing my PhD, so I use AI tools. But I apply my own critical thinking also. I don't just depend on that. So my request is explore this area so that you can then contribute directly to the use cases, which is the next question he's asking, right? So I'll probably pass it to, Abhineet to comment, because I talked about certain use cases on network side, but let's hear him, then I'll probably come in later.
Sure, sure.
Right. So ROI you said, right? The value, which are the use cases? Okay. So I can pick up few examples from a typical functional area, if I may put it, right? An order to cash journey, which is part of the larger supply chain, right? Any order is first captured, order entry is done, and then till the time you realize cash or the collections is accomplished for that, that's the end-to-end journey, right? So in that, if I have to pick up in that function, and we have delivered some of those projects for the clients, is inventory optimization, right? It's a very, very small piece, but it's very much impactful. So when I say inventory optimization, it's basically you ensuring that AI solutions and your predictive models are able to predict the right set of inventory at a particular time in the cycle. How it helps you, right? And why it's a quick ROI. And when I say and I think Rajat, sorry, you asked, right, which are delivering ROI. I would say which is delivering faster ROI versus which has been slow to adopt, or maybe the industry is moving towards it. So here, that example is perfectly fitting, because the faster you deliver your orders, your invoices get encashed, you get money faster, there are less chances of spoilage if it's a perishable material. Your stocking of those inventory is very less. And how that helps is it's a direct impact on your cash flow, right? So that is the fastest way in an order to cash journey to get a good ROI. One more, maybe a small one, could be predicting the right demand, right? And demand sensing is what we call it. So that area itself, if you have the right models in place, you use the right AI techniques, and you can sense that demand with all the parameters, there will be less order changes in the last run of the time the invoice is to be collected. There you are seeing order getting changed, right? Order items are getting changed, which eventually will delay the delivery. The cash will come late, right? So if you can make lesser rejections happen, back orders happening, what do you say? Changes happening, yeah, replenishment is better. All of these are directly impacting or giving you the fastest ROI.
Thanks, Abhineet. I'll request Ajay to share his thought, but Ajay, my request. So while you are trying to add on to the thoughts shared by our friends, maybe you can also touch upon like how you or your industry is basically trying to monitor or put up the success criteria, right? What are the different criteria, whether it be resiliency, whether it be capital optimization, whether it is speed? What are these success factors that you basically quantify the success for these decisions? Right?
So I won't be able to give specific examples because of the non-disclosures, but yeah, I can give. I'll first add, then I'll give the. See, ROI is what? You invest something and you expect a return, right? Let's say I'm putting an AI tool with a few servers here and there. It will cost me a few crores. I'm going to expect a return. That's the business ROI mindset, right? Now, or maybe I'm hiring a consulting firm, I'm hiring, you being in the consulting, Abhineet, as an industry, when I'm on the industry side. So I look at it, okay, I go to my boss, apne ko ye karna hai, we need more AI solutions. He'll say, okay, what's the cost? I'll say, okay, this is the cost. We'll engage with the consulting firms. We'll say, okay, these are servers, infrastructure which we have to put. This is the manpower that we need. This is the consulting cost and all that. Now he asked me, what do you expect a return on? What are the forms of returns? Like Abhineet said, either you reduce the cost, that means my inventory cost, my infrastructure cost, my factory costs, my labor costs, or I improve my revenue. So, do I get an additional incremental order? Would the customer pay me more, or would he buy more if today my demand planning is being done through an AI rather than a human being? He will say, I don't care. You do whatever you want to at your back end, I am still getting the same product, irrespective of what industry we are talking about. So the ROI is not really looked upon directly as per, this has reduced. But if my investments in AI is much more than the return that I'm immediately seeing, or maybe whatever the time value that we are looking at, AI adoption is reducing. The same concept is today when people are thinking about buying an EV versus a normal petrol car, right? You would think about which one, if you're paying already 10 lakh rupees extra for an EV car for the same model, are you going to save that much petrol? Maybe no. So that's where, the cost benefit analysis has to be done. And the second question, Rajat, was of what metrics?
What metrics do we generally follow?
Yeah.
Right. We can skip certain specific use cases from the industry, but yeah, on a generic value, like on a generic sense, which metrics do we generally monitor or gauge to determine the success or failure of the adoption?
Yeah. So I've worked in like about 7 industries so far, all in supply chain. Paints, pharmaceutical, medical devices, FMCG, Unilevers, then electronics, of course, and all the industries, all companies that I worked for, the first metrics that we used to follow, which is directly or indirectly related to AI, is forecast accuracy. How accurate is my planning? Okay, every industry. There is no doubt about that. That's the most important. The other one is working capital. I think Abhineet did say that the number of days of inventory, how fast are you churning your inventory? As a supply chain person, if you are rotating your inventory faster, you are getting more returns. So if AI is helping me get a much more better accurate forecast, what am I going to do? I'm going to invest much lesser in that particular inventory which is not going to sell. So one, I get a better revenue on my investment. Second, my inventory turns increase. So my rotation increases, my working capital reduces, my capacities reduce, my labor reduces, all those things. At the end of the day, my focused accuracy becomes the foremost parameter for all specific things. And then from there is all the other related metrics starts becoming better. So I think even at the World Economic Forums, people were talking about this, what is the accuracy of demand planning in terms of the rare earth metals. That's where, today the concept has become, because if I get this, I will be able to make this, and if I make this, I'll be able to sell this because the demand is there. So we are looking at the demand planning for the metals that are coming into this country. No wonder the gold and silver prices are going up. Nobody is able to predict it properly as to what's going to happen tomorrow. Otherwise, you and me, everybody would be investing in gold and silver, right? But we don't know where it's going. So that's the forecast accuracy is the foremost parameter that I would bank upon.
Thanks, Ajay. So just extending this point, so you talk about predicting, forecasting, right? So I believe you mean to say you use the term accuracy, right? Forecast accuracy. So it means that a next step, like from predictive modeling, is about the decision quality, right? So we all agree that decision quality is something that is the underlying aim here, right? That becomes the primary objective. So now moving ahead, so we talked about prediction, planning, forecasting, right? So we also, let's move on to the next stage. The next stage is more about autonomous execution, autonomy, right? So we have seen that automation would be following certain rules, but autonomy is something that is capable of taking decisions, right? So moving on to the next stage, or leaping on to autonomy or autonomous execution, So my next question would be directed like, where do we foresee, what is the current state of autonomous execution industry right now, right? And what are the practical use cases where this automation, where this autonomy has actually been implemented or getting implemented, right? Let me take an example of scheduling, logistic, replenishments, right? How fast the things are churning. So where exactly do we see that autonomous execution is starting to play a role today? That is a real scenario, not from a theoretical perspective, right? So Abhineet, would you want to add or start on this one?
Sure. So I think when we think of autonomy, it's never about, I mean, we always imagine that there would be systems working independently end to end, which I don't think is going to happen. Of course, Tesla, autonomous taxis or the robo taxis and all which are coming up, it's one use case, right? But I mean, let me come to supply chain. You mentioned a couple of words, right? Logistics, replenishment. So probably I could maybe say which area is more autonomous right now versus the other, because full autonomy may not be a scenario right now in any of those areas, right? So replenishment could be the top rated area for me because it's repeatable. You know, basis all the simulations or the models which you have built, it will be able to tell you what order to, what quantity, what kind of SKU, what you need to order, and it will self-replenish. When I say self-replenish, it's kind of autonomy because it can trigger those requests, it can go to those systems, raise those requests for replenishment. So replenishment is one area which is near autonomy. Logistics, I think I mentioned, when you are thinking about route optimization, you are thinking about which inventory to be allocated from which warehouse, which plant, how that network should be. It can also be self-evolving, self-learning, and it is reaching, it is somewhere middle of autonomy. But when we think of supply chain, right, there is a very good element around procurement, right? Though now with Gen AI, I mean, we were exploring a lot of use cases while I was in Accenture around contracts getting created through generative AI, right? And when we say smart contracts and all those things, so their autonomy is there, but it still involves a lot of human angle because you need to negotiate rates, you need to negotiate with your vendors, work on the discounting methods. But what AI is giving you is a lot of information to make those decisions better. So procurement could be one function which is lesser on autonomy. So I've given you 2-3 areas to probably ponder over: logistics, replenishment, and maybe procurement.
Sure. Thanks, Abhineet. So Alok, you touched upon an important topic of agentic, right? So with the with the autonomous execution coming into play, what role do you see of agentic playing? And again, the risk that we were talking about previously, loss of jobs or stuff like that. If you would want to touch upon that as we move ahead.
I honestly don't see loss of jobs. It's that how much you are upgraded with AI, right? Before I touch into agentic AI capabilities, let's understand how we achieve autonomy, right? Be it human feedback based or completely closed loop or zero touch. First thing is data, we delve deeper. Second thing that I think you guys can experiment is establishing a standard workflow. So if you don't have standards, so say a good example is, suppose you want to bring autonomy in your calendars. That system itself should schedule calls, okay, meetings. So then what does that system need to know? It needs to have access to data, and then how that data has been standardized in a standard workflow, which means if you have a folder structure in your system, and if you have an Outlook or Gmail structure which is standardized, then the system will be able to take autonomous action. Now, if I have to extend this use case to everyone here, then each one has to follow certain standards. So autonomy can be, achieved only when we have full flow standard workflows in the organization. And that is where agents come into picture. So we talked about generative AI, wherein we have access to a lot of data, good models, which generates. It doesn't take action per se to execute something. It just gives you something to consume, something to create, right? So that data problem is being solved there. Workflow problem is being solved through agents, AI agents. And every organization is now moving towards standardizing their workflow so that they can leverage agents, because there is an investment behind that, right? It doesn't come free. And once you have standardized your workflow, you have many agents, then an agentic AI system can be developed, which needs a strong orchestrator. So like Rajat is orchestrating us now, we are 3 agents here, coming up with some data which is there in our mind right now and speaking sense, right? So that orchestrator will play a very important role. In telecom, we are going to see, we used to have concept of self-organizing network, which means network can fix their problem by itself. But with agentic AI, good thing that is happening is that we can actually now think of achieving closed loop automations with almost zero human interventions at system level. When I say system, whatever connectivities you are getting right now in your handset, there are a lot of works happens at the back end. So those systems can function autonomously at themselves, right? So that's how I would say the strength of agentic AI, the way we see. So this year our focus as an industry and every individual should be to leverage agents. Build agents which can deliver some of your routine tasks, and then move towards standardizing multiple agents in a workflow, and then you will get to know what agentic AI can bring in, right? So that's how we are seeing the industry evolving. Yeah.
Thank you, Alok, for making an orchestrator on me important. Okay, so Ajay, maybe my next question would be routed to you, right? So we talked about autonomy, right? So now let's talk a bit about, maybe spend the next 10 minutes before we open out for audience, okay? Let's spend the next 10 minutes talking through the ethics or the accountability part of it, right? So suppose we have talked about AI, Gen AI, agents. So Ajay, my question would be, so suppose the AI-based decision fails, who would you help accountable for that? Whether it be the vendor, whether it be the enterprise, whether it be the algorithm, whether it be the model, who according to you would take that responsibility, or you will hold the collar for that person?
Everyone. If I am the ultimate beneficiary of AI and I have put my resources on the vendor who's made the AI tool for me, the organization, one of the stakeholders, the person who's leading that project or running the AI tool, the algorithm, everything is at fault for me. I would not leave anyone out. But see, and of course myself also, right? I'm also one of the stakeholders, because I felt that, okay, I'll go with the AI and I'll trust AI. So if I trusted someone and if someone betrayed my trust, I'm also at fault because I didn't do my due diligence. So we are not deploying AI like, the panelists are saying, we are not there yet. We need to trust first. That trust is missing right now on the complete use of AI, on autonomous AI, on agentic AI. It's still a little far. How fast that gap is going to close, I don't know. I really don't know. People say that it's going to be just a couple of years when, there will be complete autonomous solutions to every problem. But if that's the case, then definitely there is a big chance to upscale ourselves very fast. We need to do that.
This is a very important point. Thanks, Ajay. So he talked about trust, right? And this is where the role of responsible AI comes into play, right? So Alok, would you want to add on from the responsibility perspective?
I think this was the question asked when I entered by some students. So let me elaborate what I said, right? I believe I'll use 2 terms. Just let me know if you're familiar with that. How many of us know GDPR and DPDP? GDPR, I believe most of us should know, right?
Anyone? A raise of hand would work.
Yeah. So GDPR is a European data, regulation, privacy and all. They have a framework which every organization functioning in Europe Union has to follow, or any outside region vendor serving for that region has to follow. Okay. Then in India, we obviously were a bit late. We came up with a DPDP Act 2023. You can read about that. When it comes to responsible AI and explainable AI, let's first understand that it has to be driven by the regulations. If in India we have misuse of privacy and security, it is happening because we don't have a strong regulation around that. Okay. Now Europe is coming up with an AI-based regulation for AI usage. That is going to come. And I believe in India we'll have that covered in DPDP Act. So that starts from there. So that should be foolproof. There should not be any leakages. Then comes the organization, where now what we are seeing is that every organization has a data team who has a function of responsible AI, which vets the solution, and not just overall into each model, and what will be the data sources it will connect to. And once they onboard it, they are the people who take that solution ahead in the enterprise. And then to give confidence to the consumer of that solution and to regulatory bodies, there is a concept of explainable AI, which means that if I am using a solution, so you would be using ChatGPT, yeah? It may not be a direct relation, but the most closest that I can give. Once you run your prompt, you not just get your response, you also get that supporting input that what kind of sources it used. So when I am running something on myself, I should know that what kind of data of mine was used. So if somebody in my organization searches about me, he should only get those which are falling under the purview of privacy guidelines. It should not give me that person should not know my compensation, right? Because it's there in the system within enterprise. But that model, because it has learned from the data, it can throw out that input also. So that's where these two things go hand in hand, responsible AI and explainable AI. Very interesting topics. You guys can learn about that. It has been there since machine learning came into picture. With Gen AI and agentic AI, I think it becomes even more critical because it is connected to so many different data sources, right, which is so dynamic in nature. In machine learning, deep learning.
And it's taking decisions,
Decisions,
so which could be critical.
Which could be critical, right? So that's a very interesting area. Security could be another area where you, as a business professionals, can explore, which will be generating, I would say, a good amount of jobs that is going to come by 2030. Yeah.
Sure. Then thanks, Alok, for your inputs. Just one point to add here. Like, we come from the industry, and with the advent of the agentic AI, right? So you would have seen, like Alok mentioned, ChatGPT giving responses or different agentic platforms giving responses. And now they are basically forced to write their sources. What are the originating points from where the data has been collected based upon which it has been generated, right? And this is where the indemnification clause comes into play, right? So my friend Ajay rightly mentioned, like, whosoever is taking the responsibility, they need to be accountable. They need to be held accountable for that, right? And this is where the indemnification clauses are coming up as well for these agentic platforms, okay? And it becomes very risky because the models that are being used, the models, how they are getting trained, there's a lot of regulation going on, what we call governance, right? That is basically playing the role in the background. And all these are related to guardrails. There can be different forms of guardrails that needs to be applied when these agentic platforms come into play, okay? And this becomes a very critical factor when you have to use certain platforms. You need to evaluate those, like where the indemnification clauses fall, because you'll be generating something out of them and they'll be taking decisions on your behalf, right? Whatever way you basically tell, right? So based upon that, it becomes really important to have this aspect of responsibility, trust, and ethics be clarified while we are adopting this as part of the entire industry, okay? So now, maybe my next question, Abhineet, for you, and then I'll pass it on to Ajay, you, right? So where do we see the leadership, right,
should be investing over the next few years, right, to stay relevant with such a scenario when we talk about autonomous execution. Moreover, how will you then envision some sort of a lights out based scenario when stuff is being taken upon by autonomous execution? How do you foresee that light out scenario for the industry?
Okay, so I'll take the first part,
Sure.
maybe let others comment on the lights out scenario. And if any one of you is keenly following the World Economic Forum this week, which is happening in Davos, a lot of discussion is around how do we build leaders for tomorrow. All of you are, right? So if you think of it, I have three broad areas which I can think of on top of my mind. One is build a very strong change management and adoption muscle, right? So when I say change management, it is going to be the key skill any leader who is driving, whether it's AI initiatives, whether it's any kind of transformation. And I have seen that firsthand working with some of the senior stakeholders, CXOs in the organizations. Being adoptive happens when you manage it with a specific change management framework, right? So you need to follow those practices, learn about it, build that muscle. Second is be process focused, right? So any AI or agentic, whichever it's, and you mentioned about, I don't know which of the panelists, you mentioned about the workflow streamlining, right? So for that to happen, your process needs to be fixed first. And I also wrote recently an article about process is like your golden thread, right? So when I say it's a golden thread, it stitches everything together, whether it's your people, your technology, or your systems or anything like that, right? So that is the second thing. Become deep experts in whichever area you are in, whether it's marketing, sales, finance. Become experts in that, only then build an AI around it, right? Don't fix a broken process. And the third one, I would say become, I think we have been discussing that, become AI literate. When I say literate, you may not know to an extent what kind of an LLM needs to be deployed in which scenario, but understand the jargons, understand the business context, understand which use cases, how Gen AI agentic is evolving, what is a high level architecture, what are the technologies shaping the industry or this field. I think these are the three areas I would say, and then maybe.
Sure, thanks. Ajay, would you want to add some thoughts?
As a leader, you always have to see the future. That's your role. A leader's key principle is to lead, take the organization, take the people who follow you from point A to point B, which is what Abhineet was just saying. It's the change, all right? It's always been survival of the fittest. The person who is adaptable to change and function and thrive in this ever so changing VUCA world is the one who's going to survive. Which is why, as a leader, you should be having the most open mindset to the change. Don't resist it. You won't be able to do it. Second, technology. Technology to some extent will become generic. It's the people which will become specific. So bet on people. Find that person who's going to become that asset to you. Because technology you'll buy, people you can't buy. So as a leader, I think it's people, again, even in the world of AI, it will be people which will matter most.
Okay, so any last minute thoughts, Alok, you would want to add? Or we are good to summarize by saying that AI in supply chain has to take a leap from experimentation, right? Now it is more about having something in place that is in control, have full trust, fully accountable, and not risky as well, right?
No, I think we have just one last line. Industry is investing in people. So question is, are you ready to cash in that investment? Yeah.
Yeah, I think we have tried to move through the entire journey. Now we can open up for the audience, right? We can take up questions and try to take them. Anyone? Please.
So, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for the insightful session. So, my question will be specifically for Mr. Ajay. So, as we can see, due to increasing use of AI, and we could see in the recent times the RAM prices have shot up, and there has been a shortage of RAM supply chain. So, how companies like Samsung and a global electronics company, and how are they using AI to like predict these supply shocks, and how are they dealing with that in general?
Which supply chain? Which product is?
RAM,
Sir,
RAM.
RAMs.
You are talking about RAM, random access memory, right? The memory that is.
That's the semiconductor. See, it's a semiconductor issue. We all know that where it's all coming from, right? It's the Chinese. Where we feel that we need to develop alternate sources. Just a while back when we were having a discussion, it's the investments which have to go in the semiconductor industry in India. 20,000 crores have already been allocated by various industrialists, and still we feel it's going to be falling short. So if at all, in the short term, there is no solution. We are dependent because these industries don't develop just overnight. It will take time. Prices are volatile. We don't know what's going to happen. All what one can do in this scenario is hedge on that. So as a supply chain person, one should be procuring at the best price possible from wheresoever he's getting, and store in India, because we don't have captive indigenous production in India. That's the only solution.
India has already started taking steps, right? You are aware about the semicon program put up by our Prime Minister, right? So very soon we'll be manufacturing the chips as well upon the 11 to 12 nanometer thickness.
A very good afternoon, sir. I'm Ankit Sidwani from PGDM Financial Management Batch. I'm Ankit Sidwani from PGDM Financial Management Batch. I have a question regarding see the difference between effectiveness from AI perspective and the recent trend toward regionalization, reshoring, friendshoring. So how do you manage between that, and what like steps you are taking to have a better effectiveness while ensuring that you have like proper friendshoring, right? Because see, we see a lot of effect of China being a like global manufacturer for all of the countries. So we need to move like away from that. So what are the steps being taken currently?
So is the question that with the advent of AI, how we are foreseeing if polarization of the raw materials or manufacturing is coming into play, just like you took the example of China, right? How are the other countries basically taking care of that?
Specifically like India, or your experience in that?
Anyone who wishes to pick, otherwise I can add. Okay. So see, the simplest example is what Ajay mentioned, right? I'm just trying to correlate it to the previous question. Okay. It is more about becoming self-sufficient. And it is irrespective of anything, right? Back and again, due to, I'm not sure, I'm not a huge fan of Trump, okay? But still, the way he is treating the entire world is make everyone learn how we need to move ahead, right? You see the situation of Ukraine. What happened? On America's behalf, they entered into the scenario of come to NATO. They fought, got devastated. And what is the situation today? Trump is saying, I'm going to invade all the other countries of the NATO. So this is an indirect plan of making, or what the Prime Minister of Canada said. It is a time you think about yourself, or you be on the menu card, right? Either you come to the table for discussion, or you go into the menu card. That means you are out for sale. And same happens everywhere. If polarizations are happening, right, the only solution is to have that indigenous production. In terms of the geopolitics, it's more about security. You can't be dependent upon anyone else. It's not that one country is sitting part of some alliance and someone of your alliance partners will come and save you. It is more about becoming self-sufficient in terms of defense. Same applies here. When you talk of supply chains, it is an indirect or a byproduct of the global geopolitics that is actually happening, right? So if you become indigenous, if you have indigenous production, if you become self-sufficient, that is the only way out. Okay, you can't be dependent upon anyone now. And this is what I think our country has been moving ahead for the past few years. Whatever is the outcome, I'm not sure about the metrics, right? But at least the thoughts are in place. That sort of foresight was actually there, that you need to have the Made in India program. And this is where the entire thing will converge to.
Sir, actually, I have another question. When we are creating models, how do we ensure like the extra data we have do not destroy whatever model we are creating? Rather, it is not like just dependent on the past. See, the past trends are useful, but they are limited to an extent. So how, especially like in an industry such as Samsung Electronics, where product lives are so short that we are unable to use the past data to predict the future data. So how can we ensure that our model is looking forward rather than backward?
Okay.
I can take the initial part of the question when you talk about models, training, past data, but I'll let Ajay comment on the Samsung part of it. Okay. So if you talk about the initial part, when you talk about this AI stuff, whether it be agentic or whether it be LLMs or large language models that are based upon, right? So what do they actually entail, right? It's all about vast tons of data, whether it be prehistoric, whether it be historic, or whether it be the current ones, okay? You understand how much time it takes to actually train these models, right? And whatever live data is coming, right? So there are different ways to actually upgrade those models. So one is you talk about fine tuning. That talks about the initial or the incremental training based upon whatever the model has actually learned in the past. Okay, so there becomes the fine tuning, and this is where generally most of us do. Top of fine tuning, what you do is basically you want to have certain domain specific, industry specific, or product specific data. Okay, so that becomes the second incremental layer sitting on top of your training, right? And generally, we never go into retraining the entire model, whatever is being created, because that incurs cost in terms of the vast number of resources it actually takes, because the LLM, right? If you have to be much more knowledgeable, if your LLM has to be knowledgeable and powerful in nature, then it ensures that it contains the maximum amount of data, maximum amount of sources it should be contributing towards the training. So training in itself is a huge cost. But coming back to the original question, if you talk about how we can ensure that the previous data is taken into consideration, plus the latest data is also coming into play. So this is how there are different techniques that ensure that the model goes incremental in nature and it retains the history, that is equally important, right? And as well as ingesting the latest or the current information that is available, so that the output that is getting generated is much more relevant in nature. Okay.
Okay. I'll not be specific because of the non-disclosures, but the answer is history repeats itself. When the new product comes in the market, it's always cannibalizing the old product, right? So when you are looking at a new phase of products coming in the industry, be it any industry, we always look upon what is that product which is getting cannibalized, or the second scenario is where it is creating incremental markets. When it is cannibalizing, we have the history. So we project the historical trends and seasonality, and that is getting fitted in the models which are there, either it's the LLM model or whatever machine learning models, which Radha just spoke upon. And the incremental demand that is coming in, a new product launch. Tomorrow, maybe, there could be a flying taxi, for example. Today, Dipender Goyal is talking about, right? How many flying taxis will come in? It's a demand planning issue. What they will be doing is understanding the exploratory stage. In the exploratory stage, trying to draw parallels as to what could be a potential new incremental demand coming in from, let's say, what it came in from another industry, like how the planes came in. They would probably draw a parallel from there. Or for that matter, there'll be a focused research group which will be engaged in. That's always the expert panel comes in and they give their viewpoints, and it could be very subjective viewpoints because there is no data. So there is no objectivity in that data. That subjectivity is taken into account till certain data starts getting generated, and then you use that data for the forward projection of a new demand or a new industry creation. I hope I've answered your question.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Grateful for the wisdom you shared on the transformative power of AI in building resilient.
Yeah, I think we have a question there. Maybe the last question. Please, go ahead.
Sure, sir.
Sorry, Hoin.
No problem, sir. No problem.
Yeah, even before the question comes, na, I'll let Alok answer this. Okay?
Good afternoon, sir. My name is Aryan, student from PGDM Journal. The question is, with the advent of AI, we have granularization and the hyper customization. So how does economies of scale, which was the backbone of industry, solve this hyper customization problem?
Yeah, let me take this. I think the answer is right in your lap, mobile, right? I believe you all have at least Gemini and ChatGPT, right? How much you are paying today? 0, right? But you use it, right? So it is you use it as per your requirement. It is a very open application. So it actually, and if you would have seen the new plan of ChatGPT, you have seen how much they are charging. It has suddenly increased a lot, right? So that is the nature of any industry, especially in India with such a huge market. You introduce an application as a free, a premium we say, and then you take it to premium scale, right? Any consumer market has worked like that. And I believe ChatGPT will also work like that. But the question here is that if you are using it free, then what is the loss which ChatGPT team is having? I don't think they're having any major loss because they are getting so much inputs from your guys, the actions that you are taking. That helps them understand the market even better and make their business cases even better for you. So don't be surprised that tomorrow, the new batch, there is a fee for ChatGPT already included, right? I'm telling you because we in school, the kids where my kids go, we are paying for certain things which we never paid in our time, right? So that will happen. That will definitely happen, and that is how a market like India is democratized from profit perspective. Okay. I hope that answers or.
The question was how hyper personalization will erode the economies of scale.
Erode?
Yes, erode.
Yeah, you can take it.
Yeah, I'll give one small example, say from Pepsi, right? If you go to any manufacturing unit, you're talking about the large production which is happening. How do you decide whether that will serve the masses or how can it be customized to individual needs, right? So if you talk about different flavors within the Lay's franchisee, or maybe talk about the different colas which exist today, lot of AI and technology is getting used, right? So, and that is in fact helping us drive that hyper customization, right? How? Because you just need to train or feed the models which are doing that, because at the base, the production line or things will remain the same, right? What you need to change is some bit of design, some bit of flavor that can be done through a software application which is being embedded in those plants and factory, right? So when you say it is eroding the economies of scale, I would say it is benefiting, because if you are giving a customer a very customizable product or a service, it is increasing your revenue, it is making you more visible and more relatable to the customers you are serving, right? So the more you do that, you still have at a very foundation level, whether it's your data, your machinery, your systems at scale, but you can tweak some of those nuances to serve specific customers. So it's basically not eroding, I would say it's amplifying your hyper customization. And through applications, everyone has different applications on their phone. Someone may use Instagram a More versus a LinkedIn, right? So I'm just sharing that, right?
So while demand is getting fragmented because of hyper personalization, supply is also getting fragmented by having FMS. What's FMS? Flexible manufacturing systems. When I have a manufacturing unit which can produce a variety of the same product as per the customized demand, then my supply is also equally uh, distributed and fragmented as per the demand.
I trust your question is answered, right? So I'll skip. Thank you. Yeah, please.
We are deeply grateful for the wisdom you shared on transformative power of AI in building resilient, agile supply chains. Your insights on predictive planning, agentic AI, and data as the new oil enriched our understanding of AI's role in industry and career readiness. We thank our respected moderator and panelists for equipping us with strategic insights and practical perspectives to navigate the evolving AI landscape. Thank you, sir.
May I now invite Professor Vikas Guru, Faculty, LBSIM, to present a memento to our esteemed guest, Dr. Rajat Buddhi Raja, as a token of our gratitude. Thank you, sir.
I now request Dr. Hassan Uzzaman, Faculty, LBSIM, to felicitate Mr. Abhineet Sood with a memento as a token of our gratitude. Please, sir.
Abhineet Sood, sir. Thank you, sir. May I now request Dr. Paras Garg, Faculty, LBSIM, to present Mr. Alok Kumar Sinha with a memento as a token of our gratitude. Yes, sir.
I would now like to invite Dr. Anchal Gupta, Faculty, LBSIM, on stage to present a memento to Mr. Ajay Swaroop as a token of our gratitude.
Thank you, ma'am. I now request all the panelists and the faculty from IT and Systems, Operations and Business Analytics area to kindly come forward for a group photograph.
We now request all the dignitaries to please head for lunch. The audience is requested to kindly remain seated as the dignitaries leave the auditorium. कुछ ज़्यादा ही happened था ये वाला.